going on, Shadow? Get this shit to work. There we go. Finally. What's going on, Shadow? Function mute. There we go. Okay. Let's get this shit started. This is typically I usually run this shit at 7 o'clock, but since these shows usually last about 2 hours, this probably won't be a long show. But I always say this every single week, like every single week. I always say this shit is going to be a short show, and then it never is. But that's okay. That's okay. So I hope you guys like my new name change here. I'll be now known as Illicit Therapy for a lot of different reasons that I will be disclosing into futures. Illicit Therapy. I've actually had the name on another YouTube channel, so I had to change some things around. And yeah, we're going to be doing a lot of cool things here. But this is not for a promotion or anything like that. And I would like to welcome you to the No Filter Podcast. This is actually being broadcast on YouTube as well, which is going to be archived, of course. If you do want to be a part of the show, we do have to record you. It's a part of the show. If you don't want your voice recorded, feel free to jump onto the YouTube channel, which is also called Illicit Therapy. And then you can make your comments there if you're shy. So we got two topics to talk about. I talked about this shit last week about Sony and their multiplayer games. And we had a really interesting discussion about their multiplayer games. So, and if they are even confident, and I think people need a refresher. This is going to be my gaming bag, yo. Fuck it. So let me see here. Somebody hit me up with a Alien Kitty. Is what? Shadow, okay. All right, cool. Have follows. Cool. So yeah, two topics usually. I try to give like about 45 minutes per topic there, and then and then we wrap it up here. What's going on, Air Cheat? Sup, homie? What's going on, man? Um, Open this up here so I can see who's in here. Silent Night, what's going on? Mr. Kitty, what's going on? Miss Kitty, I don't know what's going on there. We're gonna start this show. We're gonna start it right. So also, the other thing I want to talk about here too, which I've been seeing this shit float around on social media. I believe it was, I don't know what the fuck the dude's name is, but he stayed with the drama, man. There were some movies. There were some movies that Sony will not be able to allow you to keep, and this is kind of fucked up too because this is the issues with digital. But you're not able to keep these movies. You remember back in the day on PS3 era where you were actually able to buy shows and movies. This is back when they were, trying to be, I don't know what you would call it now because it wasn't a subscription service. It was just a place where you can buy shit. And I bought some things. I bought some Full Metal Alchemist things. I think I bought Martin. There was a movie called Next. I bought that shit as well. That's natively on my PS3. So maybe you get to keep it if it's on a hard drive. I'm not exactly sure, but regardless of the matter, Sony is unable to allow you to have that shit, whether it's in your transactional history or not. This was what do you call it? I don't want to say marketing. It's not marketing. It's a what is it? A licensing deal where they can't do this shit anymore. What's going on, Black? So what ended up happening was they had to remove the shit. So one of the guys, I forgot what his name is, but he's usually up. I think his name is Tom Waring, or I don't know what his name is, but like he's usually so far at Microsoft ass, it's not even funny. But he mentions this shit, and knowing what it was. Let me see if I can find him. He knew what it was, and he knew this wasn't a Sony thing. It was more along the lines of this producer. See Tom, or not the producer, the movie, uh, uh, a studio or whatever the case is. Is it Warren? I don't know what his name is. I can't. There he is. It is Tom Warren. This little bitch. How the fuck does he have almost 200,000 subscribers, yo, doing the same shit over and over again? But regardless of the matter, he goes ahead and he says that, oh, Sony is removing your shit that you purchased a long time ago. And I mean, that brings up a decent discussion here too, though, because there's a lot of people that's doing digital only shit, me included. So I mean, let me not be a bitch about it. I am kind of concerned about it, but then I did some more research. I'm still concerned about it, but this is the rules of engagement. I already knew about this shit. I knew this was going to happen. It's unfortunate when you do digital, but the way I'm looking at it is this, man. And this goes for Microsoft. This goes for subscription services. This goes for Nintendo or whatever the case is. I don't know how long I'll be playing fucking video games. Like, I'm not going to have arthritis when I'm older. Does it matter? Because you know what I mean? It's kind of like having action figures and shit like that. Like, I don't play action figures nowadays. Uh, is this going to be something I'm going to grow out of? I guess this is the question. So these are the things that is definitely something that I don't want to discuss here. How do you feel about digital games versus uh, physical? I should say physical. I don't know why I said disc, but you guys know what the fuck I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. Anyway, let's get this shit started here, because the narrative, right, about Sony only being able to make single player games. They've only been able to make single player games. That's where their bread and butter is, and that's pretty much it. Man, that is the most disingenuous thing I've ever fucking heard. You know what I mean? It's like, for starters, what do you have? What do you like out of a multiplayer game? I guess that's what the question I would have. You would ask yourself that question. And me personally, I do like the interaction. I do like a very balanced multiplayer game. I like personally for shit to actually work. You know, and balanced, and give me some options here. Like, one of the things that they started doing back in the day is a one size fit all type of gameplay. This is one of the things I kind of hate how multiplayer games have actually carried on. It's like they want to impress everybody. So everybody, you can take one class if you have a multiple class system, and you can take that one class and make them into any. You know what I mean? Like, you can't commit to it. Like, back in the day when I used to play Team Fortress Classics, if you were a sniper, you were a long range person. That's it. You can't. That was all you got. You know what I mean? If you didn't like that type of gameplay, why can't I fucking log into my system? Hold on, guys. All right, here we go. Yeah, if you were a multiplayer, I mean, if you were a sniper, then that you had to do long range. If you were a person that was, close range, you were in your face, shit like that. You did shit like that. Oh, Wrecking, what's going on, homie? Don't share it with him. He don't need to have it shared. All right, so he's in there. Wrecking is in the house. I was struggling here. I was sweating like a motherfucker. I was like, shit, I'm gonna make this shit juicy as shit. What's going on, Wrecking?
You know, cooking.
Cooking.
That? Yes, enjoying life.
Everybody is.
How's things? How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm multitasking too, man. I'm trying to get shit together because I won't be in New Jersey for a couple of days. Um, that's where I live at, by the way. And I forgot you're across the fucking country, the East Coast, the states, Providence, whatever. I won't be here. I'll be going far, about 8 hours away from where I'm at. So I'll be spending time in a different state, essentially.
Yeah.
So the
So
topic, yeah, go on, man.
I guess from my side, Sony and the multiplayer. Um, making something successful in the multiplayer genre is not easy. It
Not at all.
usually comes very naturally, and then it can get dropped when the next thing comes. So the point of multiplayer is to, how to say, endure, right? Continue on until you can't even foresee the end of it. That is what success is in the multiplayer genre environment. And one of the things that Sony realized is we can make these, how to say, multiplayers, but if they're not continuously, how to say, being played, what is the point of it at the end of the day? So I think they have probably had a little bit of strategic shift in terms of, okay, we'll bring Bungie on board, see, we're going to do the, factions, maybe introduce like a multiplayer, maybe co-op into Horizon Forbidden West as a download. They've already done Legends. The interesting thing about Legends is I think it was probably planned as day one, but they've decided to take it out because, of course, it was during the pandemic time, so they needed to concentrate on releasing the main title. So, to be honest, from my side of it, if it's successful, it's successful. It's on them to make it successful. It's not on us. I think. Like, you understand where I'm coming from. Like, one of the most interesting things about game development is, the developers say, "Oh, they hear us, they understand us," but there is a set standard of certain things that they've learned. And
So
yeah.
So let me say this,
Yeah,
right? My question is this, right? Because you're speaking in the current slash future times of uh, Sony. So my question to you is: are Sony competent multiplayer game creators? And I wanted to I don't know how old you are. I don't know, are you in your 20s or in your 30s? I don't know if I've ever asked.
Well, they had some successes, but the
Well, that's what I'm
main
saying.
issue,
But so
yeah.
here's the thing that I wanted to show, because I'm not saying what they're capable or incapable of doing. I want to go back to memory lane. That's what I want to do, right? So
Okay.
my question to you is: are you in your 20s, 30s?
30s.
30s. Okay, so you remember the PS2 era when they had the Ratchet and Clank and the SOCOMs.
You know what? I had the other system during that time, and my friend had the other system. Being young, you only can, end up getting only of the one of the systems. So actually, during that time, I was more of a actually PC player. So yeah,
Really?
yes.
Hmm.
So like I guess from what I wanted to say is what used to be considered successful, right? If we can go this line, in the back in the day, you would have few players. There will be modifications done on the PC scenario, but on the console, there were few successes here and there. But what used to be considered successful back then is peanuts compared to what the
Well,
mega, how to say,
I
the
don't want to
mega
talk about
titles are currently doing.
I don't want to talk about like the actual financial success. I'm talking about your
No, no, no.
personal.
I am talking about in terms of success of like player engagement. How are you enjoying it, right? There are people who are on Destiny, play it, and they don't enjoy it, but just play it because they've always played it. I know several of those people because they cannot get out of it. It became, they're part of the cycle. So
So what are you trying to say exactly? Let me try to
what I'm
understand.
what I'm trying to say is, back in the day, the measurement of success compared to today was completely different. If we're going to talk about Sony's multiplayer and their multiplayer going forward, we need to understand what is their measure of success. What do you think they want to achieve? And then when you lay down those, they say, okay, they want to reach the levels of Fortnite, or they want to reach the levels of this. Then you start analyzing, okay, do they have the studios necessary to achieve what they've set out to do?
But what I'm trying to figure out, because I don't want to go into the business perspective. I'm, like I said, if you play PC, then that's actually pretty good, because that would further move along this conversation. So,
Yes.
reckon all I want to do is your personal tastes back then, the PC era. Did you play multiplayer game? That's what I mean. I'm not talking about business. I'll get to that. I'll get to it. But I'm not talking about business sense or anything like that. What I'm trying to figure out is if they have, if they're able to make a competent game. What's going on, H2O? No, I welcome somebody. So yeah, on PC back in the early 2000s, what did you play, if you played anything multiplayer? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
During that time, it was all CS, well, Counter-Strike, StarCraft, Red Alert 2, and then Warcraft free. No, yes, is it? Yes, free, just released, and then they had the Dota modification come in. So the PC scenario during that time, from a multiplayer perspective, was really starting to take its shape and start to come to its fruition. Then you have, the rise of the esports, etc., etc., etc.
So what did you find back then? Did you play any multiplayer games?
Now this is where my divergence comes in, right? I started playing these multiplayer games, and a week or two later, I got bored of it because we were doing the same thing. We were just running, we were running the same corridor, fighting the same people, doing exactly the same mission again and again. It was. I went, okay, this is not it, because I'm the person who enjoys during that time. I used to enjoy Max Payne. Halo was just coming out, I think, during that time. Then of course Metal Gear Solid, Silent Hill, etc., etc. So I was more in that line of, you want to experience something new, right? And the dangers and the pitfalls of multiplayers, even to this day, is how do you deliver something new?
Because we'll get to that. This is all personal preference right now. So what I can gather from you is that you didn't like multiplayer games at the time. Like you weren't feeling that because it was very repetitive
and generic.
It becomes generic, right? On the first time when you snipe through a door on Dust 2, it is one of the greatest experiences ever. But if you're doing it the 30th time, whoop-de-doo, yeah.
Because it was still in its infancy. What about you, H2O?
Me, the thing is, I wasn't into PCs until I got back from Africa in 2014.
Okay.
I mostly played like Nintendo games like Monster Hunter, and the Wii. But I did play like the early PS2 games. I played a few PS3 games, but not that many at the time. I was more into like um the fun party type games on the Wii that I was playing with my friends. But it's just recently I started playing PC. I really enjoy it. But like he said, like I noticed that the games I was playing before were highly repetitive.
So let me ask you this before you go on.
Yeah.
Are you in your 20s or 30s?
I'm 21.
21. So you
Yeah.
don't remember all the way back in the day. So let's start
Yeah.
from when you first started playing multiplayer games.
First time it was I was playing at my friend's house. We
What
were
game was it?
playing Lego we were playing Lego Marvel on the PlayStation.
Got you.
Uh and I had fun with it, you know. Oh, also Indiana Jones was Lego Indiana Jones, Lego Star Wars. We were playing a lot of that. The solo games he had were um, Uncharted, Dark Souls, and Batman. He had the Dark Knight and whatever games like that.
Hmm.
And I wouldn't always be able to play those games myself, considering I didn't have a PlayStation or anything of the sort. But I did enjoy those games because from it was my first time experiencing um those type of games. But as I got my PC, that feeling that I had back then when playing video games repeatedly, they were always fun. Now it's just gone. After a while, I just recently bought Dying Light 2, for example. And it's not as fun as I played it the first time when it's a new experience. So like it's like Reckon said, like Warframe. I used to play Warframe a bit back in the day, when it was just about to come out. I did enjoy the game, but it was highly repetitive. I've also played a bit of Destiny 1 back then. It was repetitive as well. Always the same maps and whatnot. There were a few DLCs that were epic, but after a while, you know, you do the same thing over and over again. It gets boring. Um, and he's right. Like they become generic. It's not the same feeling as the first experience, and slowly you always need to. I like games that usually have new content coming up.
Right.
Um, Genshin Impact is a game that I like, but they have new stuff coming up, but there's always that period of time where there's like nothing to do. Because you've done everything, you've gotten all the weapons, or you've gotten all the characters, or you've leveled up all the weapons and characters, or you're just farming for materials. So I guess there's that in almost every game after you play a certain amount of time. But when that certain amount of time it takes too long, the game starts to die and you start losing that drive.
So I want to focus on this. This is what I want to do
Mm,
because I don't know if I'm being clear or anything like that. Flat out, I want to test the waters to see if you guys like play PlayStation exclusives, multiplayer. Because the narrative, I don't know, you may not have been there when I was speaking on this. The
okay.
narrative is that Sony doesn't make they make mediocre multiplayer games. You know what I mean? The only thing that they're really good for is these single player games, and that's what I want to kind of, rest
Oh,
my foot on.
y-
That's what I'm trying to get to. So, all right, so let's bring it here then.
from
Okay, this is okay.
from what I from the little games, the little amount of games I've played on the PlayStation, I'd say yeah, they're better when it comes to single player games. When it has a deep story like God of War, I've played like the first few God of Wars, like the PlayStation 2 or 1, the Dark Knight and whatnot. Yeah, I'd say they're better when it comes to single player games. When it comes to multiplayer, I haven't played that many, and if I've have, they haven't really left an impact on me. I'd say.
That's what I wanted to figure out. I reckon. How long did you have? When did you start? When did you start playing PlayStation games again after you were on your PC?
Oh, I never stopped. I just, from, PS1, either one of my friends had it or I had it. But I guess the main thing I wanted to put forward is that it's all about, how to say, comparison and contrast, right? Let's say, for example, the Last of Us ones, factions, or even Uncharted's multiplayer. It's amazing, right? But if you compare it to its single player, it's a good game at the end of the day. And I think that's one of the things that people always miss. It's like their multiplayers are amazing, their multiplayers are good, right? But compared to what they deliver in single player, it's an industry, it's an industry standard. It's the one of the highest things that they can achieve. So compared to the single player, their multiplayer looks lacking. But I don't think ever thought that their multiplayers ever lacked. It's just it's just not as good as its single player brethren. I think
And that's
that's the main thing.
and that's what I want to kind of focus on. I'm not, we'll go to the industry part later, but now that we got that going on, Derek, what's going on, bro? What you got to say about this?
Okay,
How you? Yeah.
most of these people have missed your fucking question entirely. I've been playing PlayStation since PlayStation 1 came out, okay? I played through PlayStation 1, I played through PlayStation 2. You had games like SOCOM. SOCOM was so fucking big back in the day. People were buying PlayStations only for SOCOM. They were spending dude, I spent thousands of hours on SOCOM, and so did thousands of other
I
people.
thought I was saying it wrong. I was like, maybe I'm
Yeah.
not saying it right. Am I saying it right? Like, I just want to know your experience,
Yeah,
and do you think that they're competent? Go on, please.
yeah, they're very competent. I mean, you had Sony bought Zipper, right? And then they pushed more on multiplayer. And like you had SOCOM, you had SOCOM 2, you had SOCOM 3, Combined Assault, you had SOCOM 4. You had all the SOCOMs that were, they started eventually just becoming mostly just multiplayer only because that's how strong the multiplayer was. And it didn't get boring. It wasn't the same repetitive shit over and over like a lot of multiplayer games. There was like each round was different because you had different, you were playing against different teams, different people, people had different tactics on the map, so forth like that. And then you had one of the greatest actually two of the all-time greatest games ever made, Mag. Nobody ever talks about Mag anymore. It's 256 fucking players at once on one map on the PlayStation 3. I mean, dude, you had sectors battling over here. You had like 40 people battling on this side of the map, another 40 battling downtown, another 40 battling somewhere else, another 40 here. And then as you won sectors, the entire 256 people pushed towards one final objective. Like that was shit that nobody else was doing. PC wasn't doing that. Xbox wasn't doing that because they had Halo. Oh boy, they had Halo. That was it. That was their big multiplayer was Halo.
So I'm gonna post SOCOM. So I'm actually since we are on the same page, right?
Yeah.
As to what Sony used to do before. Let's stick with the PS2 era. And I know that you're young, H2O.
Oh yeah, I never played SOCOM. I didn't even know because like you said, I'm young. I don't have that much experience as much as you guys, and I didn't really have a PlayStation. But the few games I play, I'm 21.
Yeah, see, you missed like multiplayer in its prime.
Yeah.
Now multiplayer.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so what he knows is that when PlayStation stopped doing multiplayer, and they just broke from there, and they just started doing single player. SOCOM is a it was actually co-developed by military, by soldiers and shit like that.
Oh shit!
And one of the things that they've done with SOCOM is the level design. They thought about it was extremely tactical. So you had, I think it was this is on PS2, and PS2 only had 3 megabytes of system memory. They had 32 players on that fucking map. And I think that was SOCOM 3, and I think they incorporated vehicles, but
you had vehicles as well on that one.
Yeah, the vehicles on there. So what you were supposed to do, like the biggest claim to fame, was an ugly ass game. It was very ugly, but the level design was, I would say, according to the noise, it was up there with Counter-Strike, the old Counter-Strike before they moved to Source.
Yeah,
it wasn't. It was
Blood Lake, the Cement Mixer. Giant ass maps like Fox Hunt, where you had to extract a hostage from one side of the map to the other, while the other team could have a sniper laying in a ghillie suit. And see, it was the good thing about this multiplayer was it wasn't this hand-holdy babysitter bullshit that we have today, where if you look across the map, you see a fucking name tag above somebody. No, if they were laying in the grass, there was no name tag, there was nothing, no health bars. Like it was legit shit. Like you had to be on your point.
Like that ghillie suit. You couldn't see it. It was really blended. You were blended in with the environment.
Oh,
so They didn't hold your hand.
Yeah.
That's why people are clamoring for it now. Now,
Yeah, with Elden Ring as well.
Like
They were really
multiplayer
hyped for
now
that.
is a babysitter. Like multiplayer now is like, hey, I'm a parent. I'm gonna get my kid Fortnite, so they'll stay busy with the
Yeah.
Fortnite. They won't fuck with me. That's what multiplayer is now today. It's like a babysitter. They there's assists on everything. There's
The
SOCOM
map,
had
all
0
kinds of stuff.
assists.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
yeah,
no.
they did. They didn't. Hey, see, Halo started with the assist because they believe their philosophy was you can't really get accurate when it comes to analog sticks. And it was a third person shooter and stuff like that. So you had your crawl, you had your crouch, you had your
Yeah.
prone. You know what I'm saying? And it was methodical. Once wait, I think there were modes like this too. Once your ass died,
You
you're
went to the
out.
dead room. Yeah, because when you died, you
Like
couldn't
that was the
talk to people
Fortnite.
still
That was the
playing.
Fortnite back then. Once you
Yeah.
died, you're out. You couldn't talk to nobody because that would have fucked up the game, and you would
You
have
could
been
only
able to
talk
be
to other
like,
dead people. You could
yeah,
only talk to other dead people. So like you'd be working and be like, oh man, there's 3 people over here. You'd be working together, and then you die, and then you're in the dead room, and you can only talk to the other people. They'd be laughing at you, making fun of you, because you
yeah. And
died.
you had
And
to wait. You had to wait a whole round to come back because you weren't coming the fuck back. You know what I
yep,
mean? It's just like the
Oh my
old
god.
Fortnite. So when you die, you just had to
you
wait
were
till the
out.
match was over. So like it was people were so afraid of dying, and it made them play differently. You know what I'm saying? They were like
Yeah, because the
absolutely
stakes were higher.
terrified. The stakes were fucking through the roof because like who the fuck wants to wait all day? I think you can use spectator and you can look at everybody and see who's doing
Yeah,
what, but you couldn't say anything. It's been such
yep.
a
You could
long fucking time.
spectate.
I can't even think.
Yeah, dude, it was good, and they punished you if you died and then you left to go join another lobby. They punished you for that. There was no
Yeah.
Fortnite or Warzone shit where you could die and just go right to the next map to play again. No, you had to wait there with your team until it was all the way 100% done before you got your points before you could move on. Like, dude, I wish people could experience SOCOM in its prime because that was like they were
Ultimate
untouchable. They were
teamwork.
unstoppable.
They should
All
Yeah,
make they should
ultimate
make a
teamwork.
new version of
There,
that again. Like
well, the thing is like they tried to do that shit with the PS3, and they tried to Hollywoodize it and make it like we had a lot of flair,
oh
yeah,
and it didn't work out for them. And then they are dissolved completely. They're done. Like
yeah.
Super
oh
Interactive. They
The
made that
PlayStation.
one game for the PSP or PS Vita. What was it again? I
Well,
still
they
have that shit on there.
Fireteam Bravo.
No, no, no. I said Vita.
Yeah, wasn't that Fireteam Bravo?
No, that was PSP.
Oh, okay. Shit. Yeah, I didn't have the Vita one, but I mean, they were trying on the PlayStation. Was it PlayStation 4? And then they got hacked. The PlayStation never got hacked, and
Oh,
that
I think
no, it was
that's
totally
three.
PS3.
killed it.
It was PS3.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
confrontation. Boys, you got me all nostalgic thinking about fucking playing SOCOM as a
Yeah.
young boy on the PlayStation 2. Everybody had a fucking headset because it was coming with the game.
Yep.
That's the best part of it. I've never played an all-night game where you talk to motherfuckers before that. It was the first to ever do that for me.
It was
Yeah, dude.
so powerful that we didn't have like the little Ethernet thing. We had to buy that shit for like $50. Like that shit wasn't built in.
yeah.
No, no, no.
You know,
It was
you
it,
had,
it was not Ethernet. The jack, the phone. It's a phone jack.
no. It was
56
Ethernet. It was
kilobyte.
no. It was Ethernet. It was
No,
definitely
they
Ethernet.
didn't have any Ethernet back then. It's the
Yes,
phone.
they did.
I think
Yeah,
it's the phone one.
it had both. It had a
No,
phone and an Ethernet. You could use either one, and it
no,
would screw into the
For
back
real?
of your
I'm
PlayStation
fucking
2.
tripping. I don't remember that much.
Yeah,
But
it's
yeah,
been a
you
long
needed
no.
to
time,
buy
man.
that big ass fucking brick for your PS2.
You
Yeah,
had to screw that shit in because you had a hard drive with the PS2 as well. So you had that going on. Yo, lazy, what you got to say about all this?
No,
Well,
it's
you've been
fun
just
hearing
listening.
about all your experiences from gaming back
I
in
was
the
gonna
day.
say most of the stuff I remember playing a lot of multiplayer was Unreal Tournament.
And what did you like about Unreal Tournament?
It was just back in the day. It was like what is it? Fast Twitch shooting multiplayer. But I don't know
Arena
if that ever.
shooters.
Yeah, that was on PC though.
Yeah, I'm
Yo,
about to post. I'm about to post what it looks like. So I'm gonna share this shit in the fucking space. That's what it looked like back then, man. If you had the fat PS5, right, or PS2, you had to buy that adapter.
Oh
And if you
yeah.
oh,
didn't,
that's right. It does have an Ethernet. Yeah, you're right. Hey, but after the fucking SOCOM 2, what happened? Why the fuck did it die? We loved it so
you
much.
know what?
What
You know why
happened?
it died? They added
Co-
something that completely disrupted the level design, which was vehicles.
Those maps got big too.
They were too fucking big, and it was still following by the same rules that if you die, that was it. It just fucked up the game. I thought it was cool back then because it was like 32 players. I think the other one was 24. I can't remember.
Yeah,
I don't feel like looking, but
before that.
Yeah, so they did the vehicles and shit. The game was already struggling frame rate wise and stuff like that. So, the vehicles actually did it in the vehicles, and it was too many players and shit like that, and the performance probably sucked ass if I'm not mistaken.
You know what I think? I think Xbox 360 came around quicker, and it had Gears of War. Because I remember jumping to Gears of War right after and never looking back to the
I'm going to say
PlayStation 3.
It was Call of Duty that killed it.
Was it Call of Duty? Yeah.
It was no. You're thinking about Call of Duty Modern Warfare. The other Call of Duties around that time was WW2. It was World War II shit. So that wasn't the case. You want to know what ended up happening? And what I'm telling you is the level design and how they changed it with the vehicles that fucking murdered that game. And people were like,
Battlefield came out too. Remember Battlefield Modern Warfare?
I think that was y'all. See, you guys, y'all memory is all fucked up.
No, that was
it's been a long ass time, man.
Yo, that was not no PS2. Yo, y'all know that SOCOM came out in 2004.
Watch this.
And the 360 came out like the SOCOM 3 did, and the 360 came out in 2005. Yo,
look at Battlefield Warfare. Battlefield.
It was posted up in this bitch.
Okay, I'm looking it up right now. Because I had
you said Battlefield Modern Warfare. Oh hell no!
It was Battlefield 2 Modern Combat, and it was for the PlayStation 2, and it played exactly like the modern Battlefield.
All right, then post it up, post it up in his face.
Okay, because I played the shit out of that game because that's where I learned how to put C4 on a bike or a car and send it into other people and blow it up. Suicide bomber style.
People also was tired of the graphics, man. The PS2 it was ugly.
Yeah, man. I was waiting for the PS3 to get the fucking SOCOM 3 or confrontation, whatever the fuck they called it.
They did it. Oh, it was a SOCOM by Slant 6 and shit like that. They fucking fumbled the ball.
I forgot how to share shit to the Jumbotron.
The only two games I remember playing on the PS2
when you share it, they give you an option to put it in space.
Oh, okay.
The only PS2 games I remember playing were Spider-Man 2 and GTA San Andreas.
All of them were both of them were ugly. So
yeah.
So I think also Ratchet and Clank Up Your Arsenal. Because I'm sitting there, I'm just falling into nostalgia. Ratchet and Clank Up Your Arsenal was also a multiplayer game. And just absolutely fucking, it's just perfection. The game already ran at a consistent 60 frames a second. But they had, I think it was 4-on-4. You know how Ratchet and Clank got all these fucking weapons and shit like that. So they were already ready for your ass. So it was really nice to kind of fuck around with that. But nobody really took it seriously. So it was that game, and SOCOM is the game that I was looking for. Gran Turismo, they were actually going to make Gran Turismo 4 into a multiplayer game. It never came out. Like everything was there. I don't know what they were waiting for. Maybe the PS3 version or whatever. But that was supposed to be a multiplayer game as well. So I guess they didn't want to put that much effort in it when the PS2 was already like hampered. So now we got the PS2 out of the way. Here's where the multiplayer. Here's where Sony went fucking bananas when it came to multiplayer games. That's when they went.
I shared that in the Jumbotron up there.
Why you guys call it Jumbotron? I'm curious.
Oh, many people on Spaces call it the Jumbotron. I don't know why.
Because it's like a stadium screen. Everybody can see it.
Yeah, I guess.
Okay, cool. I never personally understood, but PS3, and I'll just run by and then reckon. I know he want to talk about like the whole business side of things and what the future is. So that's what he's there for. But like,
Mag, Warhawk, what was the other one? The second Warhawk game.
So it was Warhawk Star. It was Warhawk Starhawk. First of all, PlayStation 3 came out fucking swinging with that fucking Warhawk. 32 players. It never really had a frame rate issue. It had split screen, and you didn't even need a menu for split screen. All you needed was to bring your controller over, and as soon as you press the fucking sync button, automatically it would just slide the screen over, and you would just throw it into the room if it had space. You didn't even think about it. It just if it was 32 players, if it had space in there, if it was like 31, you just automatically was thrown in there. No questions asked, and it was extremely. And you could do dedicated servers if you didn't want to play the game or you want to host the servers. That shit was fucking powerful, and it was like Battlefield, but it was extremely. It was quick.
You can go from on foot battles to battling somebody in a Warhawk trying to smoke you on the ground, or they're in the sky, you're on the ground. You could try, even anti-aircraft. Dude, that game was fun as hell. I spent hundreds of hours playing that game as well.
You remember when they had the DLC where they put what you could do? You could put the what the fuck was it? They gave you the jetpacks. Oh my gosh, it was a DLC with the jetpacks.
Yeah, you could fly up and try to rocket people.
Well, you could rocket people, or you could just instantly fly out the fucking Warhawk, and then you could go. But you were extremely vulnerable. They had all these crazy ass fucking DLC levels. They even had DLC back then. It was really fucking cool. No single player though. But again, that was a whole fucking competent ass shooter. And I remember when it came out, and it was new to me. So people that played it on PC played Battlefield on PC. I didn't know that it was a game like that on PC. People was like, yeah, it was 32 players. What are you talking about, Josh? You always try to glorify the PS3. And I was like, I didn't know. But the way that it worked, it was very arcadey. It was an arcadey war Battlefield game. So you got your jump, you got your strafe, you had your different weapons that you had to find, sort of like the arena shooters. So you didn't start off with a weapon loadout, which I don't like to this day. I don't like weapon loadouts. I don't like it. But you had weapon loadouts only for specific games, like the fucking class-based games. That's cool because the whole class was a loadout essentially, so you didn't have to think. But I'll get back to that one. So you had to find your weapons. You start off with a pistol, and you had to do some, kind of adventuring to get your fucking weapons. And they always had little places, and it was strategically placed, like a rocket launcher or whatever the case is. They had like capture the flag. Capture the flag was fucking awesome. I don't know if you guys remember that capture the flag. If you ever played Warhawk, but you would get their flag, and it was so many, because this is why I say, Reckon said that the game was boring, but the way games back then were boring, but the way that this game played, it was one of the most dynamic type of games that I've ever fucking experienced, because the way that they had it set, right, was you had on boots to the ground type battle where you had a Jeep, you had a tank, you know what I'm saying? And in the sky, you had dogfights, and you had, loop-de-loops, and you had the little corkscrew spins. You had all sorts of crazy shit. And then all of that could happen at any fucking moment. And it was just like little skirmishes, like just little micro battles. But Capture the Flag was on a different fucking note. That was a whole different fucking ball game, where on Capture the Flag, you had to infiltrate their base in many different ways. Any way you think you can infiltrate it, you can infiltrate it. And a lot of the times you would try to go under the level, because they had a lot of, some levels had each portion was on top of a pillar or something like that.
Yeah, but they had tunnels and everything.
Yeah, tunnels. So one of the levels, I kind of landed my aircraft there, and I strategized with my friend. I said, yo, I need you to come. I'm going to capture the flag. It's going to take me 10 seconds to get out of this fucking base. I need you there with the fucking Jeep. I need you there.
Yeah.
So I was
strategize. Yeah,
bro, I was like, all right, I'm about to grab it, because they didn't see me. They were too busy in the sky or whatever the fuck they were doing. I said 1, 2. It was like a bank heist. I was like 1, 2, 3. I grabbed it, and I fucking started sprinting to the fucking exit. Here he goes, fucking power sliding. He beeped the horn. Beep, beep. I jumped in there, yo, and he started going. I was like, oh, it was so fucking crazy, yo. And he would go, I was,
Dude,
I think I was 20, 21. And then all of a sudden, we would just pass the flag back and forth and shit like that. I don't think you can go into, you couldn't drive and have the flag at the same time. So all sorts of shit was going on, man. Oh, man, that was a fucking fun game, yo. That had no business.
You could drive a Jeep with the flag, but you couldn't use the Warhawk with the flag. That's what it was.
Yeah. Okay, so I know. For me, I was the passenger or whatever the case is, and you can grab like the fucking the mounted machine gun. So that's what I actually had to do because you can pick your seats. I'm just going based off of memory from like fucking 15 years ago. But as they were going, and when people, it was a Jeep and a tank following me and shit like that, and we're going like the hills and just bouncing and shit like that. All of a sudden, I see a fucking I see a Warhawk and he's fucking zipping, and the Warhawk wasn't like just like an airplane. This bitch was a helicopter airplane. It could hover, it could move left and right. It was like a fucking mosquito. It's like a fly, actually, the way that it would move.
Yeah,
so sometimes
while you're in the Jeep with the flag.
Yeah, they were
go. One dude in
yes.
the back with the gun, and then they'd have a Warhawk chasing you, and you'd be trying to shoot at it, and your dude was swerving everywhere. That shit was fun as hell. And
so I told him, I was like, get out the vehicle. I was like, get out the vehicle. And he got out the vehicle and he had a rocket launcher. This motherfucker kneeled on that shit, locked on, boom, blew that shit up, yo. Jumped back to fucking, oh man, yo. Bro, like it was so dynamic. Hours would go by, hours every day, yo, because it was like your play style always evolved. You couldn't go by it the same way because the levels were too fucking big and there were too many different variables that would change the game up. You know what I'm saying? So that's out the way.
Based type of style. I hate to drop a tangent, but you guys seen Black Flag, right? Skull and Bones, rather. The game based off of Black Flag. It's fucking menu based. There's no tactile feeling. Whenever your crew is farming something, you see a cutscene of them farming a tree or something or food, and then you go into a cutscene of them jumping into a ship and killing the enemy to try and take over a ship. There's no you fighting the enemies or any NPCs like that. You're driving the ship. You're aiming where the cannons go, and that's it. It's so fucking dead.
They threw away everything that made Black Flag good. Then
the only thing you do, I think, it's walk around in the pirates city area, and you aim to shoot cannons. I think that's all that you have control over. Everything else is just click a menu.
Damn.
Yuck. Yeah, that I was hoping because when they first came out with it and they said, hey, it's we took the best thing that everybody liked in Black Flag was the ship combat and pirating a ship, and then now they turned it into like a menu-based RPG. That's horrible, man. Ugh.
Yeah, I want a fucking pirate game where you're similar to Sea of Thieves, but even more grander. Where Sea of Thieves is very small,
generic, small, yeah.
Where you hire fucking NPCs that, even if it's not very smart NPC, that attack the fucking enemy. At very least, follow you and attack an enemy. We had games back in PS3 where you command a fucking a platoon. You tell them to go there and attack. You tell them to fucking hide in cover. They do it. Where the fuck is all that gone?
Yo, I got the Warhawk. Somebody had it on Twitter, yo. So I got this shit, and I'm going to share that shit with you guys. So you guys can see it for yourself, and I want to kind of move on because I want to focus only on Sony games because the narrative out there, people claiming that like Sony can't make a competent multiplayer game.
I mean, you look at MAG. That MAG was an amazing fucking multiplayer game. I don't even think MAG didn't have a single player.
No, it didn't. But people back then were like, "Yo, because the games were $60." They were like, "I don't like the fact that it's not like that." Yo, honestly, yo, take a look at that. Like it was basically, you guys see that shit, right? It was basically a girl game. It was basically a girl game.
What happened to Zipper?
Zipper made a game. I forgot what he made. They made a game. And he's made a game. It wasn't successful because of TSB or a lot later. I know they were out. Hello. They're not doing Anyway, so there's that. You guys can look at that. Fucking crazy, yo, because it looked good. That game was released. What is it? Like 15 years ago, some shit like that. That shit's fucking crazy. But there's that, and then don't forget Motorstorm. So Motorstorm came out also around the PS3 era, right? You see here, Motorstorm, and they had a multiplayer thing too. I believe it was 8 players, 16 players. I can't remember, but they had that shit there. Cool, a cool track. It was just a really good game. But it was unique, and the fact that um you had different vehicles, and each vehicle, right? Um, okay, they just told me. Okay, each vehicle had its own perks, not the actual dynamics of the vehicle, but the shortcuts, like like the actual levels in the game. Some parts of the level were specifically made for the dirt bikes. The other ones were specifically made for the trucks. Other ones were kind of made for cars, and it all will converge. And everyone had their own little thing, like and it was dynamic too. If the dirt bike fell into like the mud pit area, your car or your bike wouldn't perform properly, and you could just get run over by the fucking trucks and shit like that. So you would, like, basically they say that the lighter the vehicle, the higher the ground you would have to travel. So it was just like those pretty cool dynamics. I think Motorstorm Apocalypse incorporated a voting system or a gambling system. You would look at everybody's rank. You guys can hear me well, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, cool. You would have a rank system, right? So you would actually, what's going on, Jay? You would actually look at the people's rank. And the ranks didn't necessarily say anything about them other than how long they played, but they could have started another profile. But you would look at the ranks, right? And people would be like, I don't think that motherfucker is that good. So everybody would bet against you. They would say that, oh, this motherfucker would basically be done. He can't get out of 8th place, basically, right? And if you went past 8th place and got something like 1st place, then you would get all the fucking money. You could vote, and you can get the money, and you can upgrade your vehicle. It was a fucking crazy, crazy game. So you had shit like that. Who remembers Motorstorm?
I played it a little bit, but
Yeah,
I
I
was
owned it.
more addicted to racing styles like
I just had the demo on PS3. I was too broke.
Yo, that was a broke ass time, yo. That's why everybody was mad at the PS3, yo. Everybody was fucking broke.
They were coming out
Everybody
with
was broke.
heat, but nobody could buy all the fucking
Nobody. They were trying to promote their systems, right? They were trying to promote their system. That's what it boiled down to. Their PSN, because it was free at the time, and they wanted everybody to see it, but they knew that it was kind of raggedy. Back then, the PlayStation Network didn't even have its own store. It was a browser face. So there was some shit like that. What else? What other multiplayer games was out back at the PS3? Because that's where it was at.
Remember when they unveiled the Sony PlayStation 3? They said it's $699, and they're like, and if you can't afford it, just go get another job. And I'm like, what the fuck?
No. They didn't. No. Let me clarify that before you hold on.
But I
Hold the fuck up.
I ate ramen noodles for a month, but I bought one.
It was $599. First of all, it was $600. That's number one. Number two, they said that it's going to make you want to get a second job because of how much fire it was going to come out. That's what they claim.
Yeah, I had the fat 60 gig, the first one.
So did I.
Where it had the card readers on the front and it had the PlayStation 2 built into it.
People were laughing at me so hard, yo. They the farming grill. I was like, yo, oh, bro, yo, that shit was ass, yo. I hated that era because we had fire, and all people could say is we were stupid for paying for the fucking console, and it looked like a George Foreman grill, and the graphics were worse. It was just such a shitty time. Anyway, we got Motorstorm games. Oh, let's go. Let's talk about Uncharted.
Oh yeah,
because Uncharted was one of those games that didn't have a loadout either. You just found your weapons and shit like that. It was a very easy to get into game, and I actually like the multiplayer for Uncharted a lot more than the single player. Like, yeah.
To me, the multiplayer of Uncharted was good, but it kind of felt tacked on. Like, I played Gears. I loved the single player of Gears, and because I've always owned both systems, right? And when I played Gears, the multiplayer on Gears felt like tacked on, like the game wasn't made for multiplayer. Because I mean, everybody
You
was like,
crazy.
dude, I
No,
played the hell
Gears
out of
to
it
me
though.
felt like it was multiplayer centric. The single player felt more tacked on to me.
But I mean, you look at like Gears 5, that's like all like mostly single player based because that big ass
Yeah, but
campaign.
that's them. They changed their
Yeah.
whole stilo up, so you
hmm
can't say anything about that. But I'm curious though, why do you
But the
feel like it was
multiplayer
tacked on?
between
I want to hear. I want to hear
yeah, because it
you
didn't seem
articulate why.
as fleshed out as a multiplayer game could have been. You know what I mean? It was
What does that mean exactly? Because that's just an absolute, like, it wasn't fleshed out without any context. So
Throwaway
explain it to me.
comment. Yeah.
no, it's hard to explain, but let me try to put it this way. Like you were in a set piece, like you weren't. The world didn't feel interactive because, like, yeah, you could mantle over shit, and everybody just hid behind everything. Same with the Uncharted multiplayer. Everybody was like, or I mean, the Last of Us multiplayer. It was crouch, 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 roll, 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 shotgun, kill somebody. Crouch, crouch, roll, 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 shotgun, kill somebody. Like where or you had a sniper way in the back. There was no in between gameplay. It was either super close or super far away, and it just felt like I don't know. They could have done more things to it. They could have spread it out more. They could have
So,
had more interactive maps, like doors open, doors close. More vertical, not just flat level ground, like more vertical, more underground. Like they could have done a
Lord
lot more if they were
Jesus.
multiplayer. Yeah, I mean, I
So
played it. It
what?
was
No, no,
good,
no. I
but
get you. I get you.
yeah.
Go on, Reckon. Go on. You raise your hand. Hold on. Let me hear Reckon.
No,
I
but
didn't think this topic was going to be that
I
juicy.
really need to
no,
speak on
the
this.
main
Oh,
aspect of
we
it
talking about
is
Uncharted
Ho-
too,
that
right?
Yeah.
Game of
Hold
the
on for a
year.
minute. Let me hold on. Let me let Reckon real quick, and then you can go right after.
Okay.
okay. So I want to make 2 points. Number one is it's interesting that how many millions of copies MLB the show sells, but I never hear anyone talk about it. The other thing is with Last of Us or Uncharted. There and I think we're trying. We're already getting to my point. I think is like it is a component. It is good multiplayers, right? You can go in it and you can enjoy it. But the main thing is that the contrast between the single player and the multiplayer is so wide that it gets underappreciated. I think that is the main point that I'm trying to make. Is like there are certain types of games, right, where multiplayer is where it's single player, nobody cares about it, right? And then there's others where both are really good. There are really handful of those. There's not that many, I think, that has hits on all cylinders for both. But in terms of the main Sony line games that has single player, that also has multiplayer. The multiplayer never surpassed it. I think that is the
But
point that I'm
let me
trying to
ask you
make.
this. No, we know what the point you're trying to make. And I know you
Yeah.
want to take this. I know. You like the business side of things. I get you. How did you feel about Uncharted 2? We'll get to that.
Which one? The multiplayer or
The
the?
multiplayer.
I played probably 5-6 rounds. I enjoyed it, and that was it.
All right. The person who was talking earlier, right? You want to, I guess you just joined the space right now. Yo, speak your piece, please.
Let me say one thing about
It's
Uncharted real quick. The Uncharted multiplayer feels more like the single player than any other game that has full single player and multiplayer. Because Uncharted, you're climbing, you're getting up into shit. You can grab a propane tank, throw it, shit like that.
but
It's
you just said
more.
the environments weren't interactive though. I mean, you just
No, I'm talking more like Gears environment. Like I played. Don't get me wrong. I played Gears. I played all of them. I played all the way up to 5. But like Uncharted is the one that's more closely in tune with the single player, as opposed to the Last of Us multiplayer. Was it factions?
okay.
Uh,
Well, we are
not
talking
sure.
about Uncharted 2 that won 10 awards and got Game of the Year it came out, right?
Oh well, no,
Yeah.
no. See, for me, I don't talk about the awards. I don't do that because that's not really. I don't like talking about awards because you can pay for that shit. Anyway, I posted. What you call that again? The bulletin board shit. I posted that shit in there in the
Jumbotron.
spaces. Jumbotron. So they had nice cover. You know what I mean? You see the thing is, you know, I think I can articulate. Hold on, the new guy. I didn't catch your name. I'm sorry,
Leo.
Leo.
Yeah.
What was his name? Leo. Let me stop. What do you got to say about the multiplayer?
The
All that other shit.
Uncharted multiplayer is probably one of the best third person shooters, third person multiplayer games I've ever played. As far as like it being smooth, you know, getting into a match and shit like that, and you know the from everything from the aiming, specifically from a third person shooter's point of view. I think that, in my opinion, something like the Division 2 is comparable. That was an example of a really good third person shooter. But Uncharted 2 was a complete game. I mean, you know, the you could pick up gas tanks and throw them. You know, you could blow up the vehicles, and I mean that was pretty much all you needed. It was doing everything it should be doing around, you know, for a multiplayer in 2010, including DLC. The Uncharted 2 multiplayer felt pretty complete to me.
I'm going to say, I think I know why people say people didn't give it any kind of serious thought. Jay from YouTube says that his favorite Uncharted games are Uncharted 2 and The Lost Legacy. I have to definitely give you credence on that one. The reason why I feel like people don't like it or they don't take it seriously is because of the ranking system. I don't think it really had a ranking system that you could, you know, like a leaderboard type thing.
It did have a leaderboard. You had dudes up there that had, you know what I'm saying, thousands upon thousands of kills. It had a leaderboard like every other shooter.
But maybe this leaderboard just wasn't that like it was too simplistic, too generic. You know what I'm saying? They didn't give you they didn't give you all of the details and shit like that. And maybe they didn't give you no awards or anything of that nature, or rewards rather, for your efforts. I don't distinctly remember anybody giving a fuck about the leaderboards, but when it came to Killzone 2, that was the way that they done it in Killzone. They had a whole fucking man. Oh boy. So I mean, I say that Uncharted was a very competent shooter, but the way that it played, it was like an arcade game. It was almost, I would say, it's in the vein of an arena shooter. You hang on to fucking ledges. You can pretty much hang on to any ledge, actually. That you can
Yeah, that shit
see.
was fun. You could grab
You know what I
somebody,
mean?
like if they didn't see you, and grab them by hanging on the ledge and then pull them off and kill them. That was
Yeah,
that
they were
was like other games weren't doing that, and that was cool. Like I said, that was the one that was most closest to a single player game involving other people as well. Like
without it being a single player. It really did feel like it felt like a multiplayer game, but single player. I don't feel like it carried the seriousness of it. It didn't feel serious. I feel like the
if
leaderboards weren't as in depth, and I feel like it wasn't as serious. That's what I believe.
if Factions comes out when Factions comes out on the PlayStation 5 and it has the control and the combat that The Last of Us 2 has, dude, that's going to be a fucking amazing game. Because I mean, you can look at some of the videos of people that are good with the combat on The Last of Us 2, man, and just imagine that multiplayer. That is going to be one hell of a fucking game.
Well, let's talk about um, the reason why the reason why I'm sticking to PS3 because there was really nothing on PS4. They was like, fuck that shit. We did all that shit. Nobody really been playing it like that, and it's the fault of the
Yeah, that
PS3.
is true. It was like PS3 was so unfortunately in a bad place. Like all those games, if they came out now with better graphics, I bet you they'd do a lot better. It's
It
because
would
of the
do a hell of a lot better, and that's what I believe. So let's go to Killzone, and I'm only speaking on the best of the series for any of these games, right? So for Killzone, Call of Duty killed this for sure. You know what I'm saying? And it killed it because it had a lot of fucking aim assist. B was 60 frames a second. C was multiplayer or multi-platform. For the Call of Duty was multi-platform. D, we were going through a war back then. So I feel like as sadistic or as sickening as it is, human nature, I feel like people wanted to experience what people were going through overseas in the comfort of their own home. There was a lot of different shit that was going on back then that made Call of Duty as successful as it was. You know what I'm saying? And it felt great to shoot things. You know what I mean? Because it made you feel like you were like you had a lot of skill. I'll put it that way. But going back to Killzone 2 was in a very weird spot. The media didn't like anything coming from Sony, like at all. Like they were just over Sony. So when they came out with a game that looked as good as Killzone and was played, it was very competent. There were just all these complaints. Oh, the frame rate is 30 frames a second. Yeah, it looks good, but your character moves so slow. A lot of people, including one of my friends, he didn't even know how to play the fucking game. He didn't know how to play the game. He thought that because he played Call of Duty, you had to aim down sights. That is not how Killzone works. Killzone works if you're close, you just shot from the hip. If you're far, that's the only time you aim down sights. And the reason why that was a bad habit for a lot of people is when you aim down sights in Call of Duty, that's when you engage aim assist. So a lot of shit like that. But it was a 32-player game. You had 7 classes. You had a neutral class that didn't have any special abilities. You had a medic that could revive people, and they had their own particular weapon loadout. But if you kill somebody, you could pick up a weapon that you're not supposed to have. Like if you kill a sniper, and if you're a medic, you can pick up the sniper rifle, whatever the case is. You had the engineer that could put down turrets. You had the tactician that could put down flying bots, and it create spawn points out of nowhere. I've never seen a game do that to this day, that you could just create spawn points for your team to go into by throwing a spawn grenade. You also had your Saboteur, which your Saboteur will randomly look like the basic character of your opposing team. But since the Killzone engine could generate so many lights at once, the eyes for the Hellgas and the walkie-talkies for the ISA will glow unless you were a Saboteur impersonating another team. So they just looked, something was off about them. You know what I'm saying? So you had that. You had the Assault class, which he had the sprint ability, and he had like 50% more health than everybody else. But he only had the rocket launcher, which was slow, or the grenade launcher. A headshot in this game was a fucking headshot. It doesn't matter if it was a pistol, assault rifle, whatever the case is. If you pop somebody in their fucking head, that was game over for you. You could not just do whatever the fuck you wanted to do in this game.
Yeah, I feel like Killzone would have definitely have succeeded in today's world. I don't understand why they didn't do as good, especially with all those, especially the deception part of the game. It was so much fun to do. But
the Saboteur.
Yeah.
Yo,
The sniper. The sniper rifle would look invisible.
You actually remember all of this. I respect.
I played this so many years. You know what I mean? I fucking love that game. But I remember the sniper rifle, right? Instead of him having the stupid ass cloak that we all know where you look like fucking water or glass, like the whole Predator shit, they did something different. So like if you stood perfectly still, you were almost absolutely invisible. And the pixels that make up your character would just show occasionally. The more you move, the bigger the pixels will get, and it will fill your character in if you move really fast. But if you were a sniper if you were a sniper, you could tag enemies for your whole team to see.
Yeah, kind of like Overwatch is what do you call her? The sniper chick.
But you were invisible like a motherfucker though. But one of the most dangerous things is if you could. This is my specialty when I was a sniper. I will blow somebody's head off, right? And then pick up their broke ass assault rifle and be invisible like a motherfucker. Be in a room, they're sitting there trying to capture the flag and shit like that. And they just, I will just spray them all down. Just headshots to galore. Just put it and they wouldn't understand what the fuck would happen. Also, if you kill an enemy, it disables your cloak. So there was that. Because you were basically invisible. So you could actually
sound on there was iconic too.
Oh my gosh! And you could switch your secondary abilities. The generic character, you didn't have abilities, but you had the access for the most weapons in the game. The
A lot
Saboteur.
of those things have been stolen by other games. Like what you were talking about with the beacon, having your people spawn in. Battlefield does that now. A lot of the
Well,
things that have been.
Team Fortress Classics on PC, they did shit like that. If you guys want to speak, feel free to speak and just jump in because I don't want to be the only person just be flapping my lips. But like so if I remember correctly, right, only the tactician could throw the spine grenade, but his secondary ability was the air bot that would shoot and kind of overwatch the area. If you were an engineer, you had the ability to repair. That was your secondary ability. And when you repair, you can either repair the preset ammo boxes, or you could repair the. I think no, you couldn't repair the. You couldn't. You could repair like the mounted machine guns that was preset, and you could repair the ammo boxes. That's what you were there for. You created essentially the ammo boxes. You could take that secondary ability and switch it up. If you were a medic, you could revive people. That was his main. His secondary was throwing health packs, and anybody could do that. The assault class, his main ability was more health than everybody, but then his secondary ability was the boost. The Saboteur, his ability is to make himself look like the other people.
Yeah.
I think he wasn't able to hack. I can't remember what the fuck he had for a secondary ability. But anyway, the secondary
Yeah,
abilities was probably.
you could hack like turrets and all that, but can I go on a little tangent?
Yeah, go on.
Killzone 2 actually has a special place in my heart because that was the first FPS game I ever played. Like, up until then, a nigga was allowed to play like Zelda and Sonic, and, basic stuff, but that was the first FPS I played, and like, it's a masterpiece for real. Regardless, that's not nostalgia talking. Yeah. Also, Killzone had the best grenade in all of gaming for real, up until that point. You remember
Oh,
that?
yeah, the other homies bounced. That's what it was. I couldn't, or maybe they're not there. I can't see them. All right, cool. So I guess I'm gonna reckoning in there. I guess I'm gonna do my own shit then. That's cool. Because I thought I spoke clearly as to what I was trying to do, and it was like it was moving to a different category every time I would like speak on it. But
Oh
that's
damn,
okay.
that sucks.
Then I was like, I wanted to talk about the multiplayer for Sony specifically, and it was just like, oh well, I want to talk about like I this is for them. Yeah, so the Killzone was really good. Let me see if I can find a Killzone tweet to Killzone 2. That shit was fire. Um, and it's unfortunate that that game ended up being overshadowed by something like Call of Duty. Not the shit on Call of Duty. Call of Duty was a really good game back then. They kind of had a very good blend of a really good single player campaign and a really good multiplayer campaign. It
And
was really
split
fucking
screen as
nice.
well. That was big back then.
That was Killzone 3. I feel like Killzone 2 was the better. It was the better game, only due to the fact that it was what was it? I'm gonna just post this up here. It was only better due to the fact that it was true to its vision. A lot of games nowadays are not true to their vision, including Killzone and Guerrilla Games. They always want to kind of people please, and they ended up fucking up their game. That goes for Shadowfall. So, any other games that I failed to mention that was
Yeah,
pertinent?
Resistance.
Resistance. Resistance. Actually, here's the cool thing about Resistance, right? I didn't like the single player. The single player I couldn't stand. The multiplayer was too fucking difficult, man. That was a difficult fucking game, man. Absolutely too. I couldn't grasp it. It was a 40-player game, and I just didn't like the weapons. It didn't feel meaty enough. It didn't feel like I was killing something. It was very like I was shooting Nerf balls and shit like that. That's what it felt like. I just didn't like the way that the game flowed, and I wasn't a fan of it. But the second one talked this shit. The second one talked its shit, man. That's what killed it, man. The second one was nice. I really liked the second one. Yeah, we talked about SOCOM earlier, but yeah, the second one was, I think it had an 8-player co-op. The bottom line is this: Sony is very, very capable of making multiplayer games, and I just never understood the rhetoric behind they just can't make single player games or multiplayer games, only single player games, and that they should never really dive into a single player or multiplayer experience. It's ridiculous because that's all they used to do.
That
You know
shit
what I
is gonna
mean?
die within the next 4 years. I feel that rhetoric is gone. I think there's a buttload of fucking. They talked about it. They said fucking 12 live service games. Most of these multiplayer games will be live service.
Yeah, fucking Call of Duty even was a game. Call of Duty was not Call of Duty. What the fuck am I talking about? God of War had a multiplayer that was competent, but you know, uh, so there was that one. Yo, Johnny, go on, speak your shit.
You talk about Resistance Fallen Man, the multiplayer. The multiplayer was actually good, especially the second one. That was like my best favorite multiplayer because I didn't play the multiplayer that much in one. I played a lot of the multiplayer in two.
Which game again? I couldn't hear you. Cut out there.
Resistance Fallen Man too.
I'm, you know what it was? It wasn't. I'm not gonna lie to you, man. Let me be 100% on this shit, right? It wasn't flashy enough. Put it that way. It
It was
didn't
kind
look
of like
good
Gears competitor.
graphically. Huh?
I said it was kind of like a Gears competitor.
I don't. Well, Resistance 2, they put it together like that, but like, hold on for a minute.
I
Yeah,
think
I was testing out my microphone, seeing if it looked like sound like shit. The second one was pinned together with Gears of War 2, especially since Gears of War 2, I can remember this shit like it was yesterday. They had the was it the Horde mode for Gears of War 2? It was one of those fucking co-op modes where you
yeah,
just
horde, yeah,
yeah, the
endless
Horde mode.
yeah.
And that was such one of those games where you just played with your friends and you just all day, you know what I'm saying? You were just all up on that shit, and that's how you played the game. But here's the kicker though. When it came to a situation like that, Insomniac Games made a co-op mode too. But the thing is, Sony's games were super bombastic. They were like really over the fucking top. There was never like a dull moment with those games. It made it. There was no chill mode where you could just sit back and just kind of wait. When you jumped into the fucking multiplayer, it was just fucking a complete war zone for all of their games. It was just 0 to 100.
That's why they was goaded.
Yeah, but some people wanted to kind of spend time to chat with their friends and shit like that. You know what I mean? And you couldn't even do that shit because it was just like as soon as you got in there, yo, you had to fucking, you were like R. Kelly fighting for your fucking life as soon as you spawned in that bitch.
Exactly. That's why I liked it. That and Killzone too.
It didn't have that moment where whenever you died in a round, you get to talk in the dead chat, talking shit about the people who are alive. It didn't have those subtleties. It didn't have that SOCOM feel. It was all you come back to life, you fight again, you die, you fucking spawn again. It was all action. Very little chance to even speak to
Yeah,
people.
because you're playing Resistance Fallen Man, not SOCOM.
I
No,
get
but
it, but that's why it lost its luster.
there's a multiplayer etiquette. You gotta have downtime. It's too much, and the games looked ridiculous. Like Resistance One was to me an ugly game. I couldn't get past it. I couldn't get past it. Now I can't count Metal Gear Solid because that was made by Konami, but yeah, I couldn't get past the ugliness. It was too ugly for me. I'm sorry. That was an ugly ass game. So with that being said, it was a big ass open world, but like I mean, fucking Killzone whooped its ass, and they all ran at 30 frames to get the maximum fucking effect. And people weren't really down with that whole multiplayer. I mean, the whole 30 frame shit. But I get what you're saying. Like it's an acquired taste, but there's still an etiquette when it comes to multiplayer. You know what I mean? And people are following it, which leads me to today's time. Unfortunately, Reckon left. He got tired of waiting. He was like, "Fuck this shit, man! I want to talk about what I want to talk about." So that's how he felt. But one day, we could talk about that shit. I'm gonna talk to him on the DMs and see what I could do to help them out, whatever the case is. When they made because like that was pretty much it for the PS3 era. When they made the PS4, you had Shadowfall was just some game that was just thrown in there. Like even Guerrilla Games knew that shit wasn't a serious endeavor.
Although you forgot about The Last of Us. That was like the last PlayStation
Shit!
multiplayer.
Why you had to
At
bring
the
that shit
end
up?
of it, yeah.
Damn it! I was trying to move it fuck along. The Last of Us, I will say this, is one of the best multiplayer experiences I've ever played. I've never felt so stressed out to save them fucking people, the faction people. Like if you lost a certain amount of games, they would just destroy and it fuck up your prestige, I guess. They would say, every time you win, you would have resources for the rest of the team. And I was like, motherfucker, yo. I was stressed the fuck out. I didn't want to be the worst guy in that bitch. I was stressed the fuck out, yo. That was some good fucking times, man.
You just trying to take care of your people, man. It's okay.
Yeah, that was
It
some good
also had
shit.
that downtime, right? It also had
They
it
did at
around
the
that
end,
time.
and
And it
waiting for
was
the room.
competitive too.
Yeah, waiting for the room to fill up and shit like that. It had that downtime shit there too, and it had that downtime when you started killing off the other team, and it was only one person locked up in the fucking classroom, hiding in the bathroom and shit. You know what I'm saying? And we all
Everybody
had to
got to fucking start
strategize.
searching.
Yeah, they had
It
that
also
shit,
had
yo.
that Gears of War moment where you one versus fucking five. Those moments are incredible.
It was absolutely chef kiss. What's going on, Cheap Man? You've been in here for a while. What's going on with you?
Yeah, I've been playing Iki Island listening. I just was going to throw in a couple games before we moved on past the PS3. These are a little bit more obscure, but you had David Jaffe's Calling All Cars. I don't know if you're familiar with that one. That was
I played
My ass. That's what he could do. No, I'm playing. Call on
that,
cars. Go on, please.
yeah,
Go on,
that was
please.
I really enjoyed that one. I was sad when they closed those servers down, but they also had Fat Princess. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah, you know what would have made Fat Princess a good fucking game if you could if the camera was behind that. That was a good game. I don't like
I would
isometric games, but
really,
that's my own personal.
yeah, I would love them to bring that back via PS Plus Premium. Seems like a great day and date like small game to throw into a service like
You
that.
can't anymore. You can't. You know why, right?
Why is
Because
that?
you'd be fat shaming if you did that shit. I'm not even fucking around. Like I'm honest.
Yeah.
They'd be like, "Who the fucking Lizzo princess? Call that shit be a black bitch." Go on, man.
Oh my god. What about
She just stand on her head twerk.
I haven't heard anybody, and I'm happy to hear Sony's bringing this back. We have Twisted Metal as well.
I don't think we got confirmation, but I think there's enough
Oh
smoke.
no, there's confirmation because it was originally under the Destruction All Stars developer, and then they stripped it away from them and they put it in house to another developer.
There's also a confirmation of a movie. I think
It's a TV show, so
Yeah.
I'm expecting the release of that to align with the TV show. But Twisted Metal was another good multiplayer game from that time. You also had it wasn't mentioned. This isn't my cup of tea, but you have your Gran Turismos for multiplayer as well.
Oh yeah, every fucking Gran Turismo after fucking 4 had multiplayer in there, and yeah, that is considered. That's a serious fucking. It's the biggest racing game of like all time.
And then another franchise that kind of went away that it would be one of my dream titles that they bring back was PlayStation All Stars, that fighting game. You remember
I really
that one?
wish that I remember that shit. See, the thing is,
Did you
and I
mention
remember
Warhawk?
no, yeah, that shit. Yeah, I mentioned that. I went on a fucking 15 to 20-minute tangent on that bitch. It's like crazy as hell, man. Of course, y'all can run that back, yo. If y'all don't know, I have the YouTube channel actually record everybody. That's also Illicit Therapy. That's where all my shit is archived. So if you want to hear the rest of the show, or if you missed it, you can go back there and listen to that Illicit Therapy. But yeah, it was fucking. What else? What other games?
I think that was all that I had. There was a couple other things, but they weren't like super multiplayer centric. But you had your Little Big Planets, which had co-op as well. But you were focused more on competitive multiplayer, right?
No, that's still considered a multiplayer. The whole premise is people think that Sony can only do single player experiences, and I'm like, yo, they're extremely fucking competent, and you know what I'm saying? They're super competent.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't God of War Ascension have multiplayer as well?
Let's not. Yeah, but we don't talk.
We don't talk about that.
Why you don't like it? Why you don't like it? It was cool.
I don't know. Hey, go ahead.
Yeah,
talk about
that game was so. So of the 6 games in the franchise, right? So what do we got? We got 7 games, 4 console, 2 PSP, and then Ragnarok on the way. So 7. That was the only game in the franchise I hadn't played, and I played it 2 weeks ago with PS Plus Premium. And that was a painful experience. It was so bad. Like, it was so.
I didn't like it either.
It was just rough, man. After
you know why I didn't like it?
It was bad. It was terrible.
Well, here's the thing, right? The art style, for starters, it was a beautiful fucking game. Like, it was just meant with the beauty, right? So that's fine, right? We got that. It looks nice. The biggest problem was it's fucking like Kratos actually blended in with the environment. So I will always lose Kratos. Always. I'm like, where the fuck is my character? Then you had the raid system was shit.
It was shit, bro. Like, it's so fresh in my mind, but there's just, I don't want to detract from your space. It's just so bad. Like, from a technical standpoint, it's bad. The jump mechanic is horrible. He never latches on to anything. It's like worse than Jedi Fallen Order. You feel weak, man. Like, I maxed out every magic ability. I maxed out the blades of chaos. This motherfucker felt weak. His rage mode felt weak. The bosses were just invincible and just filled with health and just lasted forever. It was just awful. And I love God of War, and I wish I could erase it. I wish I could go back and have never played it.
Well, I will say this: it was a prequel, so but they don't Santa Monica, don't you ever do that shit again.
Yo, it was, you know what it was though, man? God of War, it felt like such a monumental downgrade from God of War 3. Like, it didn't even feel like, it felt really like they put like the Dollar Tree team on it. Like, it just didn't feel good at all. And there's no like scale in terms of the boss fights. Like, the
first one was pretty cool, but the frame rate was always like it wasn't never that great. You know what I mean? But
for the time, it was great. It was like nothing we had ever seen before.
But this one was like instantly. I was like, "Ew, is this 25 frames? What's this?"
Yeah, I gotta admit though, the first 2 hours, like, that was one of the most epic openings for a game. But after that, it's like downhill.
You want to know something though? You want to know where all their fucking efforts went to?
Was it multiplayer?
Yeah, yep. That shit was fucking solid, but I didn't want that multiplayer. I didn't give it a shot. I didn't give it a fair shake because I didn't want it. I'm like, what the fuck is this? What you say?
Not everything needs multiplayer, you know?
Bad, I'm making my protein shakes. Excuse me. Anyway. But yeah, you're absolutely fucking right. I just wasn't feeling that fucking game. I mean, Sony definitely has some missteps. Don't get it fucked up. But the thing is, right, they are very confident in making multiplayer games. And it's kind of irritating when you see like influencers because they don't know any better. Like, we had a 21-year-old that was in here and he kept it real. He kept it 100. I haven't played the other ones. I mean, I was too young to remember fucking SOCOM. You know what I mean? I was too young to remember those games. So I don't know anything but PS4. And, you got some influencers here that are as old as I am, and they still say the same shit. Why? Because it's not advertised as such. Like, I don't get it and don't prescribe to it. But, like, I mean, here you are. That's the reason why I wanted to kind of have like a part 2 to that conversation I had a couple of days ago. Yeah.
To bring it back to your conversation at hand, though, Like,
Mhm.
I think it is. See, this is like a weird situation, right? When it comes to Sony's current state of affairs as it pertains to multiplayer, right? Sony's doing this thing right now where Ghost of Tsushima came with a multiplayer after the fact. Returnal came with a multiplayer after the fact. Last of Us 2 is going to get a multiplayer one fucking day. Who the fuck knows when? So there's this trend I'm starting to
You better
see
wish upon a
where
star, man.
it's like this. It's almost like this under promise, over deliver, so they can be in these shining, glorious graces. Like, oh, look what we did. We gave you a multiplayer for free, no extra cost 6 months later. So it just comes off as like, I don't know, like this show of good faith where they're in the good graces of the community. Like, look at this extra shit they're giving us. But these games that are multiplayer centric and don't ship or launch with multiplayer. And I feel like that's kind of an odd trend we're starting to see with Sony.
I have to give you. I have to give that. Well, this. I think part of it is that. I also think they're trying to give the single player breathing room for people to complete it, so they won't immediately go to the multiplayer and ignore the single player for all their money that
Sure, but
they used.
these games don't take 6 months to beat.
But they still have the balance of shit, and that's one thing. The other thing too is so you can reinvigorate like the interest of the game. You know what I mean? So they're probably playing around with that. On top of it, I gave you this shit for free, and I'm pretty sure, which is one of the things that I wish Reckon was here because he would have been perfect for that shit. Is going to tie into their fucking what do you fuck you call it again? What the fuck was I saying again? The games as a service plan. I feel like what they're going to end up doing with the whole games as a service thing is they're going to tie it in like that. They're going to be like, okay, you get the games as a service version of that game. You know, if you do like the art style or like the swag of the game, you know what I'm saying? It's going to give it a perceived quality that people are just going to automatically associate quality with their games as a service because all games as a service, people always look at that shit sideways, which is an interesting prospect. I don't know how they're going to do it, but yeah, it does come off as, oh, we're giving you this shit for free when you could have released that shit, and we'll never know either. We'll never fucking know what they're doing behind closed doors because games are digital now, which is our next fucking topic. Ooh, that transition. Ooh. Ooh. Anyway, so there were talks about uh there was like way back in the day with PS3, Sony had like a storefront for movies and shows. And eventually they had to drop it. They dropped it with PS4, but you could still use or download or stream the shows. Basically, you couldn't download it anymore. Um, so essentially, you could go to your transaction list and read and just stream it. Now there's like 400 videos or 400 video content that is like going to be off. Like you can't buy it, you can't stream it, you can't view it, you can't do shit with it. Nothing. So you lost money on that shit. Whatever. If you were the kind of person that downloaded these shows or whatever, that's it for you. You can't do anything with it.
Did you read the article though? That's not right.
Well, explain to me the article. I'm not trying to be a smartass. Explain to me how that works because I've been hearing like what's his name again?
Yeah, Centrelink. Yeah,
Tom Warren.
no. Yeah, Tom Warren. Yeah, that's the one. Of course, he's gonna spin shit and say the worst of the worst. I just read the article, and the article said, yeah, they are removing some feature, some kind of shit, but it said in the article you will be able to watch your movies somewhere else. That's it. That's all the article said. Basically, yeah, Sony's removing these from somewhere, but you'll be able to watch them at Y place instead of X place. That's it. So you can still access your movies, but yeah, I don't know. That's it. You can still watch your movies.
How do you access it then?
I'm in Australia, so we never had access to that catalog. I'm pretty sure it was in Germany and that, but yeah, you can still access your movies some way.
Yeah, I know what you talk about. I did just recently download like 2 hours ago. It's called My Video for you got on your PS5,
Hmm.
and you can
Yeah,
go onto it. I got a bunch of shows like I downloaded some Naruto episodes back in the day, some Dragon Ball Z episodes, all types of like reality shows and shit like that for free episodes, free anime episodes. So but I have two accounts, so I got like nothing but anime, so I can stream and watch it on my PS5.
anime horror. Okay, just fucking with you. So you watch the anime and you can stream it. Now, from my understanding, Century, they said that that's going away though. Now, being though I work in the telecommunications field, right? Um, there are some times where you leave a cable company, right? And you may have purchased stuff on their store, but you are able to get it through something, I don't know, Voodoo or whatever the case is. But you have to show proof of purchase. And I'm not sure how that would work. I think that's what you're referring to, but you're in Australia, so I don't know exactly how that would work. The point is, right, is that there are a lot of people that are extremely concerned about the world going digital. And I just wanted everyone's take. Whoever wants to speak first, you can go, and just jump in. But that's my take. How do you feel about owning your games via digital or via, just physical?
Where I own my games physically. I don't really don't buy digital as much. I just buy it. If it has a physical copy, I'll just go out and buy the physical copy.
Now, what's your reasoning for that?
And it's easy. I could just get up and go walk to the store. Because I always have this argument with people like, maybe they want to, sit at home, and download, their favorite game. I live in New York, and it's not that hard to go to the goddamn store and go get your video game. I had to do that shit back in the days, like the PS2 era. I used to go to like the on Fulton Street. This place called Game Place. They closed down. They moved up the block, but that's the place where I go get my video games, stuff like that. I remember going with my brother, my older brother. He got me the green Game Boy Color. It came with Pokemon Crystal. I went with him to the store and everything else, and I never went to a game store before, besides Toys R Us, like a little
Mm.
local mom and pop show. Went to like many of them looking for this Game Boy. Then I was like, you know what? Ever since then, I always go to the game store and try to find a new game. That's just old school to me.
So you like the experience of going somewhere and, actually picking it up, touching the media, and is it are you afraid of the future of it being all digital, or are you just
You're
like the
gonna be
old
in
school way
all
of
digital,
doing
like we're gonna be in all digital, like you're on the PC, you're gonna be in digital stuff like that in the future. But I see when it comes to digital, when it go like digital, like how they take away stuff. Look at Scott Pilgrim. Just got that in the mail a couple months ago, like the physical copy for PS4 and Switch. Look how they easily can just take away your copy and stuff like that for people to not access it anymore. Or games like Ninja Turtles, Mutants in Manhattan, or Transformers, Devastation. You can't buy those games no more unless they're physical.
well, if you download it, anybody else have anything to say?
Yeah, I was gonna jump
Damn
in.
it,
If that's
Chico!
okay.
Why you cut? No, I'm playing. Go ahead, bro.
Oh no, you can go. I
No,
was
go
just
ahead.
gonna talk. I was gonna say, for me, video game ownership is unimportant to me personally,
I
because
know you Game Pass horror.
yeah, I'm not a collector, and I also am not one who replays video games at all. Like in 30 plus years of gaming, I've probably replayed, I don't know, somewhere between like 5 to 10 games in 3 decades. So as someone who doesn't replay, who doesn't collect, I still do buy physical, but then I'll just turn around and sell it or trade it in towards a new purchase. I don't like the idea of um,
Terrible.
just having my games like just there's like when I purchase something digital after I play it, there's no like value, right, for someone who's not going to replay it just to say look at all of this. So I do trade in my games towards the purchase of new ones or sell them every time. Like right now, I mean, I buy all my. I'm not so opposed to digital that I'm like the guy that's waiting to buy Sifu. I buy everything digital that's digital only, like all those indie games and things of that nature. But that's why also PS Plus Premium and Game Pass works so well for me with these, like Game Pass, for example, the day and date Xbox first party titles. Like, I just have the subscription, and I'm like, okay, this game would have cost me $60. That's 4 months of Game Pass, so that's how I justify it. But yeah, I buy physical, but I don't own my games. I just trade them in.
Who else wanted to speak?
I'll say something. So
Oh,
there's
real
pros.
quick. Also, Centerlink got
Damn it!
booted out. I'm sorry, Centerlink got booted out, and he wanted you to add him again.
Okay, my bad. I'm sitting there getting ready for this fucking trip here. Hold on for a minute.
All right, mute.
Oh, one more thing, Sony Verse. I just wanted to. I'm just kidding.
Suck it.
All right, cool.
No,
So
I
he's in.
was gonna say was just basically there's pros and cons, right? Like we all remember going to like midnight releases for certain games, right? And going in and purchasing the media and just sharing that experience with like the people around you, right? Getting gamer tags, trying to link up with people as soon as you get the game back home and you have it installed. Okay, so for me, right, I was physical for like the longest time up until like the PS4, about middle of the lifespan, even though it's still going PS4. And then when I got my PS5, I went digital with it. Now, what I see like the perks and what I see like going on right now, right? We can use like the God of War and even Horizon collectors, for example, right? It doesn't come with any physical media, but it's still a collector's edition where you're getting like the statuettes and the extra content for the game, right? But they're only giving you a digital code. Now, one of the cool things that I see with digital purchases, right, that I say like a midnight release, right, and you're waiting for that game to drop on like a Friday or Wednesday or Tuesday, whenever it drops, right? Typically, you can get the game early, like 9 o'clock. They go off at Eastern time, right? Well, normally I'm on the West Coast, so like you would have to wait till midnight for most games to drop if there's coming out like the next day. But now you can get them at like 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, excuse me, in order to purchase that, right? Also, they're giving you perks that I've noticed too, where if you buy it digitally, which I don't know, and I don't think you can do this physically, where you can play the games 72 hours or like 3 days earlier, right? If you buy it digitally on certain titles. I think there was a few titles that PlayStation dropped where you're able to play the games early, right? If you bought them digitally. And you can look at the physical copy, which is nice, because there are some collector editions that some people want to buy, like myself included, where you want that extra stuff. But I think like again, the pros and cons of that is that you can sometimes play the games early, but with that as well, like let's say if something goes down like on the network, which I'm using Xbox for this and not throwing shade at them, but like with the DRM issue, right? If it's digitally and and it has to be online in order to play it, and you're only digital, and if there's something wrong with the network, then you can be locked out of that, right? And there's pros and cons to both. But since I've gotten my PS5, like for the most part, everything has been digital for me, which is a very, very big huge convenience for me. Like when you can play a game early, instead of waiting on that Friday to play that game. So,
CenturyLink, what are you going to say about that? Or going to say about the topic?
Oh yeah, I'm in Australia, as you all know. I would never go digital anyway. For one, it's just way too pricey over here. Any game that gets released in Australia is like $124 digitally, and then but physically you can go to like I don't know, just say EB Games, and they can price match, just say Big W or any physical media in Australia. You can pick a game up for about $80. But digitally, it's 124 just for the standard edition, and then it just goes up from there. The deluxe edition would be $150 digitally. It's just a rip off here in Australia. The prices for digital media, but I don't want the world to go digitally. No way. It's just physical is just so much better in my sense. That's just what I reckon.
So we are basically we're going to clash here because here's the thing: is it because you don't own it, or you lose ownership? Like, what's the?
Oh, just eventually, it's going to happen. It's just going to go all digital. It is going to go that way because it's just convenient. Saves people a lot of money, not the consumer. You know, but what's going to happen is we're just going to lose ownership of our content. That's just going to happen. There's no ifs or buts about it because in the terms and conditions, it's going to have a little section there. I haven't read it, but maybe anyone who is digital should go and read the terms and condition. That, yeah, they would be able to terminate, the service, and there's just nothing we can do about it. Because, you tell me now, all right, PS5, just say it was all fully digital. Once PS10 comes out, trust me, you won't have them games no more. It's just,
I
it's
don't
not going to
understand why
happen.
people like you are worrying about PS5 when PS6 is out. You know what I'm saying? Like, y'all be way too attached to these games. Like, you just gotta
Oh
play
yeah,
them,
yeah,
finish
that's
them.
true. Sorry, yeah,
You know?
I agree. I don't keep games. I'm like anti cheat code. I buy my games physically, and once I play a game once, I have a tough time going through it again. If
Yeah.
it's got to be fucking brilliant for me to go back to it. You know what I mean? Which is like The Last of Us. Yeah, all them. I've gone back through them. I'm playing Ghost now, and I can go back through that. That's a game that I would go back through. But I'm like, I play a game once, and that's it. I want to trade it back in and get my value back. That's why I like physically. That's why.
Also, I feel like, for the environment, I'm not trying to be that guy, but I'm saying, like, all these discs and all these cases, and not just for gaming, for music, for TV, movies. I hope they stop making the cases, you know what I'm saying? So we can, save some plastic. Because, making plastic is, like, really toxic, you know what I'm saying? Which is,
Yeah,
Oh
we
look,
need
you
it,
know,
but
but
you look at
I'd rather just go digital and discs.
Sony's packaging though is all environmentally friendly. You know what I mean? Have
Yeah.
you seen all that?
I haven't noticed that, but, hopefully we can just go all digital and just get rid of discs and,
so
as yeah, go ahead.
let me ask all of you guys because this is what I'm kind of curious about. What is the fear of going digital only? And this is not a Sony thing. I'm curious. The fear is that you're not going to own it anymore. Like, what is it?
For me, it's money, and it's just money. It's just too expensive in Australia at the moment. If the prices matched America for 1-to-1, yeah, that's fine. But I'm paying $124, mate, for a fucking game where you in America for digitally, what were you paying 70? I'm paying 124. It's a lot of fucking money.
Y'all make money though. You're rich.
I wish I was rich, mate.
There's people
Even,
on here who spend thousands of dollars on collector's editions and are worried about digital, and that's what he's trying to say. Like those people
Gamers
who
get
don't
no.
care about money.
Gamers are funny because they have no problem buying a fucking Samsung Fold for like $2,000. No problem at all. Like they finance that bitch. You'll pay tickets for like $2,000 to see Lizzo, I guess. But um, that's the thing that I've noticed about a lot of gamers, or just people in general.
Yo, Alyssa, what you got against Lizzo? This is the second strike on her.
She's fat. Hmm?
That's just thick with two C's, my man.
No, it's not. Just thick with 8 C's with her. Fucking CC. Anyway, yes, no, I don't like her attitude though. Honestly, I don't like people that are lazy. That bothers me. Especially being a personal trainer, I don't like that shit at all. I
relax,
don't like
Chico.
it.
Yeah, yeah. What's up?
Yeah, have you just started Ghost or what? Are you
Yeah,
start? Have you just started?
yeah.
I
I've
thought he
been,
was gonna ask who's
I've
Lizzo. I was
been,
gonna say a
I've
fat black
been,
chick.
I didn't realize this, but I was just running around clearing everything on the map and shit. And I was like, why the fuck don't I have a horse? So I Googled, I'm like, where the fuck is my horse? And it's like, just do the first main mission of the DLC. And I'm running 800 meters on foot. And I'm like, how much fucking time have I wasted? So I just got my horse officially.
Oh, what the fuck?
Yeah, bro, I've
Where's
been clearing out this map on foot, like goddamn Assassin's Creed style.
That's terrible.
I googled it
No,
because I kept whistling for my horse, and I'm like, all right, is my game glitched or something? And it's like, do the first mission. I'm like, you're fucking kidding me. So I just did the first mission and got a horse after like
nope,
probably putting in 2 hours already,
Damn,
2.5
bro.
hours.
Damn.
nope, nope.
You remember in like Grand Theft Auto San Andreas how like like you
With the
could get your
bike,
character all beefed up and make him exercise. Like
you
my Jin Sakai would be like max stats if it for all this exercise I've been putting him through.
probably gonna turn around with the camera. What the fuck you doing? What's so? But um, the way I look at it is, what about you, Chico? You say you don't care? What do you feel like it's rational,
Well,
the
I can
fear that people have?
yeah, because here's the thing. I mean, it's almost like NFTs, right? In a way, it's like a lot of people have trouble seeing value in something that's not a tangible physical good, right? Even though
Hmm.
you consume it on your device, it's a pretty rational thought, like to think that something you can't touch and hold like has no tangible value to you. But for me, and I can understand the reservations and the concern because game preservation has been an issue, really, really bad issue, and we're losing the art form. And we see these. I mean, even look at game preservation now. It's like I'm playing God of War Ascension and Puppeteer and all these games via the cloud and shit. So we have these band-aid forms of accessing these old games. um, but for me, it's about money. I understand why people don't want to go digital because, like I said, the perception of not owning. But the reality of the situation is this: whether you own that physical disc or you own that digital, ownership is only an idea when it comes to video games, right? You can buy Call of Duty, Modern Warfare, whatever the Call of Duty is. That's like the free to play shit, whatever it is. You could have a physical version of this, but if they shut those servers down, it's done. It's like you can have Smite, right? Bought the physical edition of Smite, but if they shut those servers down, it's done. So game ownership is kind of like an illusion in a lot of ways, physical or digital, unfortunately.
People don't have a problem with you know when a service game gets shut down after they've had years and years. Well, I guess they do, but it's like it's almost understandable. You want to know what happened to me when it came to owning your games, right? For starters, I have a big ass CD case, a huge fucking CD case with all my PS1, 2, 3 games. That's what I have in there. And what ended up happening for me is that when I ended up picking this shit up, I'm trying to think here. I tried playing Grand Theft Auto Vice City. I tried playing that, and no, doesn't work. It doesn't work because the label side of the disc, that's where all the information is held. And so what ended up happening is that degrades over time. I haven't used it in a long time. Maybe that heat fucked it up. You know what I'm saying? Something got warped or whatever the case is. It's gone. And the funny thing is that Grand Theft Auto is a special Grand Theft Auto. When that game was released, it was uncensored. Then this is back in the day. I forgot who was the guy that kept attacking video games. Uh, People that were Haitian were really fucking pissed off at the Haitian missions in the game. There was the Cuban versus the Haitians, and they literally like took that out of the later titles. My Getaway Black Monday, that shit doesn't even work anymore either. You know, so I wonder to myself, like, if I kept it in pristine condition, would it have actually like fucking would it still work? I guess. You
But
know,
think
there.
think about it like this too, though, right? So what you're saying is, these games. Part of the nice thing about having, say, physical or whatever is they can't go ahead and edit things out of it, right? But then you look at like a digital game, they can go back and censor anything they want as society changes. Even if you look at Grand Theft Auto 5, they've omitted certain things from the radio stations that are transphobic in nature. So these games, when we talk about game preservation, if you were a purist and want something as
Hold on,
it was,
I'm gonna stop you. First of all, we need to stop. And you have a degree in this shit. We need to stop creating the different definitions of words. You know what I'm saying? First of all, being phobic of anything is a fear that what's
okay.
going on in there. They consider it transphobic. It is not fucking
Well,
transphobic.
they were perceived to be denigrating comments towards transgender people in
All right,
certain
so but
radio
that's not
station
people
ads.
being this. There's not people being afraid of fucking
Or yeah.
transphobic
So you,
people.
I mean, we
I
could say
know, but I
anti-trans
know
or
you. I know you, and the general public don't have a problem with it. I had to say that, but continue, please.
yeah,
I'm sick of it.
yeah. So I mean, for someone who is like, say, a purist, right, and you want something in its original form, that would be a benefit to physical media over digital media is the fact that something can't be altered after the fact as well. I mean, yeah, it can be patched out with updates and things of that nature, but you do have the option, of blocking those things from happening.
Yeah, and I feel like that's a big problem. I don't know if you guys know this, but Spider-Man, the movie Spider-Man, right? Do y'all remember when what was it? When before Peter, well, when Peter Parker got his abilities and he wanted to kind of be a wrestler or whatever the case is for money. You remember when he was talking to Bone Crusher or whatever it is, Bone Saw, whatever.
Macho
He,
Man Randy Savage,
yeah, he
rest
was
in
like,
peace.
he was like, that's a cute outfit. Did your husband buy it for you? Right? You can't get that anymore if you get the new movies. That's gone.
Yeah, I mean it's even like if you look at Disney Plus, which has a massive history of racist portrayals from the Black Crows in Dumbo, which were to be representative of Black people in Jim Crow America, to the way they portrayed Native Americans, and the use of blackface and things of that nature. If you go to a lot of these Disney Plus shows, you'll see that they've been altered to be more. Respective and of the people that they were denigrating of those times, and to be more suitable for our current climate. I mean, I'll be honest, I'm not itching to see the racism in it, but just worth noting.
No, some people need to understand because that's the next question somebody will probably have. Why do you want to see it? I don't understand. Why would that be something you want to keep in there? Because fucking you need to leave history as it is. You can't erase the shit. That's the point.
I
Leave it
mean, I
exactly
would
where it is.
I would prefer to show my daughter these things without these racist portrayals.
That's the
uh,
world. You can't hide that shit from your daughter. She's gonna
no,
find out
but that
eventually.
those are racist portrayals, right? Like
She's
those
gonna
those are
find out. She's gonna find out eventually that you can't hide that shit from everybody. She's gonna find out how fucked up this world is eventually. That's what she's gonna find out. She's gonna find out the hard way if you don't let her know that that's how the world is. Like all this pampering and shit. I gotta stop
Is it
that
is
shit.
it is it a fear that she will become one of them by seeing these things, or is it a fear of you don't
No,
know how she'll interpret it, stuff like that?
the problem is, because I do a lot of research on this for my profession, but the problem is when you start. I'm gonna focus on Native Americans, right? Because a lot of the portrayals against Black people, like for example, the crows in Dumbo, like your average person who has no level of intelligence and connection to the events throughout history could understand that that's meant to be a denigrating portrayal of Black people, right? But then you have some more explicit stuff like the Native Americans being depicted with red skin and being made into a caricature and a mockery, and portrayed as alcoholics, and just every negative stereotype under the sun was used to portray natives, especially in like things like Bugs Bunny and shit like that. Those are the type of stereotypes that are more dangerous to show to a young developing mind, right? Because, for example, if they don't interact with these people, right, in life, and the only portrayals that they ever see are racist, uh, depictions, denigrating depictions, depictions that portray them as stereotypes or a mockery of them, that season has no interactions with these people and their culture, then they'll develop schema in their brains and rules that this is how these people are. It's very dangerous to young developing minds.
That's understandable. Yeah. I think he laid out a reasonable argument as to why he wants to keep his daughter away from content of that nature. He doesn't want
That's
her to get into the
fine.
traffic.
That's fine. He can keep his daughter away from the things. I'm going to say this: the shielding. I think it needs to be known, but the shielding of Western society versus the world. Like, I'm gonna tell you right now, this is really digressing, but like,
But Alyssa, you have to make a we have to make a very clear distinction, right? So what I'm saying is not being misrepresented, right? There's a huge push in America right now when like in the state of Florida, it just became illegal to teach that slavery is a bad thing, and to even address slavery as slavery. They want to call it like involuntary migration and bullshit like that. There's a difference between erasing history and not versus shielding a young developing brain from portrayals that depict minorities in negative fashions for entertainment purposes. There has to be a distinction between educating and then consuming something for entertainment, which makes a mockery of people.
I 100% agree with him.
yeah, but here's the thing, right? All of this entertainment, right, is still someone's viewpoint. It's still it's a part of someone's mind and how they thought at that particular point in time and how the world was. And you can't erase that shit out of humanity
Oh, I
because that's
agree.
something. So that's hold on. There's some that's a part of all humans. That's the funny thing. Even if you did erase it, there's going to be people that do the same thing all over again. Because the reason why there's these distinctions, right? Because people are comparing themselves to other people, and people are going to want to feel good about themselves, so they're going to put something down to make that happen. So whether it be like, since you look different, you look different, then I'm going to say that because you look different, I don't like the way you look. I think you're ugly, or whatever the case is that's going on. I will never agree to censoring history ever. I don't give a fuck how ugly it is because you're be doomed to repeat it. I don't care if it's entertainment or not. It needs to always be there. Period.
I don't agree
Not
with
taught.
censoring for.
Not taught. I will say that they don't have to be taught to say like, oh, this is this, but it doesn't need to be erased like that. The fucking pancake
I
mix and
agree.
Uncle
I
Ben.
agree.
I'm gonna need you.
History's got to be told. History's got to be told. It can't be glossed over. It can't be downplayed. It's got to be told. The facts have got to be told. I just read up on Florida. Enter Cheat Code mentioned about Florida, and they're starting to bring shit in. They're trying to gloss over the brutality. Teachers don't want to discuss it in the classroom about the brutality and stuff like that. You just can't touch on a subject and gloss over certain facts. Every aspect of the history's got to be told, even the most brutal
Nobody's
part,
denying that.
and it's got to explain.
I don't think Cheat Code said anything about shielding his daughter from the realities of the world. All he's saying
No,
is
he's
No,
not.
don't show entertainment forms of those set things, and not
he
have
has
his
he has the
daughter
right. He has the right
start
as a
thinking
parent.
that
He
that's
has
how
the
the world is.
hold on. He has the right as a parent, and this is his duty to not present that. No one's telling him to put it out there or whatever the case is, but there are some things that you can't fucking shield. The world is ugly. As soon as you step your leg out the door, that world's fucked up. You're going to see it on news. You're going to see it in school. Like, even when racism wasn't really taught crazily, and when I was in elementary, there were teachers that taught that reacted to me differently.
Same here.
Or reacted to anybody anyone that looked different than them. We had like these stereotypes. And you could pick up on that when you're young. You were like, oh, I see what this is. It's because of the way I look is the reason why they keep saying that all of us that look like this is going to be like that. No, these kids aren't fucking stupid. They are going to figure this shit out. And removing history is just all you're doing is hiding shit that you're going to find out anyway.
But do you see the dangers of if this is the reality of the world, and then the media and entertainment that a child consumes reinforces those things, then in every direction they're being told to believe that they're supposed to be like this, which is usually a negative, stereotypical, or discriminatory depiction. That's where it becomes problematic, especially for like a young developing mind.
So let me, as a black guy, let me point it to you in this way. Because like I said before, if you're on one side, then the other side is going to be bad. You know what I mean? Like you can't be on both sides. Let's take it to the white portion, right? With white people. Now it's the new hotness to say that all white people are evil or bad or racist. That's the new hotness. Media is telling you this shit. The media is is saying that white people should feel guilty for being who they are, and all sorts of fucking things is going on with that. And I'm saying this is the black person. The media is saying that's okay to say. You know what I'm saying? So what are you gonna hide? You're gonna hide this from your daughter too? Because it's everywhere. It's in schools and everywhere else. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, where's the gray line? And I mean, where's the line? Where is that going to be drawn? Because you can't have it both ways. It's dangerous to say that too. To expect that every white person is evil or every black person is a fucking thug or whatever the case is. And this is the shit that's happening just just walking outside. Just looking at the
I
news,
guess it's
which
the
is
responsibility of the parent to teach them at whatever
it is
age.
most it is. That's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to be a
But
fucking
you're
parent and
teaching
teach.
them. It's a
Well,
specific.
well, for the
Instead
black
of
people,
them
what do I
by
tell my?
themselves and developing it for themselves in an irresponsible manner, you're
Go
teaching
go
them.
go on, please. Whoever was talking, who was trying to talk?
That was Centerlink.
Centerlink, go on,
Oh,
man.
I just want to say for that, like when my son asks us, he's 12 years old. He says, "All right, when white man came to Australia, what happened?" For the black people in the room, what should I tell my kid? What do you reckon I should tell my
Colonized.
kid? And I said,
Colonized.
I'll tell you, yeah, I just tell my kid the truth. I said, white man landed in Australia, just slaughtered all the black people, raped them. You know, it was devastating. Brought diseases to this country. You know what I mean? Just I tell him the truth, and then he turns around and goes, "Why?" And I just tell him, like, because it's just mental. White man was just mental. They just had no control, no laws or anything like that.
Superiority complex.
Is that the right
So,
thing to say? Because it's just the truth.
here's the thing that's funny, right? This is what I'm talking about with the media. That wasn't you that did that. You know what I'm saying? That's not you that did that.
Yeah, exactly. And I've said that too. I said this is done now.
But here's the thing. But here's the thing. In history, everybody are fucked up. I could talk to you about the Africans and what the fuck that they did and sold out their people. That's why slaves exist. You know what I'm saying? In the United States, they just sold their fucking people. They didn't give a fuck about it, or cannibalism, or whatever the fuck it is.
Yo,
They ate
Central,
their
like
people.
if you
So
come
it's
to
like, I mean,
America,
hold on.
yeah, go
So
ahead.
all I'm saying is this: you can say that shit about black people or any other fucking race, that they were horrible fucking people back then, and back there were fucking uncivilized. That's what it boiled down to, and lacked understanding. You know, they let their emotions go through. Like it's never it's a good and a bad side of things. You know, the history of humanity is just an awful fucking thing. It's just awful. We're going east.
Can I say
Yeah, I was
something?
gonna say, bro, if you come to America Central, like there's some white people that will come at you like different. They'll be stepping on your toes. Like they're afraid to keep it real with you. Is what I'm trying to say. Like they're just gonna be overly cautious. You know, they don't want to say the
Oh
wrong
yeah, I
thing or
understand. Yeah, I could understand that. You saying that, I could imagine some Americans like, and trust me, there's some Australians like that too. You know,
yeah.
I mean, it's everywhere in the world. It's everywhere, but you just can't deny the facts. And I've told my son too, it's not my fault. It happened. You know what I mean? So like, don't feel fucking guilty if someone tries to put the guilt trip on you. You know what I mean? We had a Prime Minister, John Howard. He turned around and said sorry. You know what I mean? So
Nice.
I don't think any other fucking government in the world has ever said sorry. But we had John Howard who said sorry to the, so
Maybe New Zealand, right? That lady.
Yeah, she probably did say sorry. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I was just,
Well, what were you going to say, Chico?
I was just gonna say, when you look, throughout history, and you look at, every civilization that has been considered great and by any measurement has instituted slavery, right? All the way down to biblical times. The biggest distinction, though, like you mentioned, like even when you look at where the slave trade really began, it was the Portuguese going and taking African slaves. But when you look at all the institutions and the implementations of throughout history of slavery, it was always usually prisoners of war, right? Or the people you conquered, and it was never on the basis of racial inferiority until it became an American institution, and that's a distinction that should be kind of brought out too as well. It was a matter of race and color. So while the institution of slavery is a horrible and atrocious thing that still exists in significant numbers today, like human trafficking, American slavery is definitely different.
It's different, but the thing is this too. Yeah, American slavery is different, and I'm just being real. Like if y'all motherfuckers cannot like it, not like the truth, deny the truth. I don't know what to tell you. If you want to live in a
I
fucking
also
bubble, that's
it's called
fine.
all
echo one
slaveries,
thing
all
though.
slavery, no slaveries, all slavery is going to be different. Slavery is going to be different from all
No,
different
but there
countries,
was
of course.
indentured. There were indentured servants, and stuff like that, right? And stuff like that. The thing is, it's not even just about slavery. It's about fucking humanity, and human nature is fucking awful. That's the point I'm trying to drive home. This is not just about fucking slavery. Like I don't want to go into like a fucking Congo shit or
You
whatever the
know,
case is in fucking Africa. I don't want to get eaten. Like these motherfuckers be eating people. Like, what do you got to say about that? Like, there's no right
It's not
way.
just in
You know.
Africa though. Yeah,
I
people are
know it's not.
eating people everywhere.
I know it's not just African. I know it's not. I said the entirety of humanity is fucked up,
True.
and they all
I,
have their own fucked up things. That's the point I'm trying to hammer home.
yeah, but to what Centerling said, what do we tell our kids? The reality is, it was fucking colonization, right? It was genocide. It was cultural genocide, and even when you look at this, like all the way down to early man, from men leaving a state of nature to going to a state of collaboration to land ownership, it all boiled down to land, which was the most precious resource of all with the agricultural revolution. So at the end of the day, why did they do this? Your kid asked. It was ultimately for three main factors. God, to force their religion on other people, for glory, so that their name and legacy could be preserved forever. So God, and then gold. They believed there was gold in these places. So as a result of those three things, in the name of God and all those other things, they fucking slaughtered people.
Yeah, no, that's just that as well. It's just because they're queer
Or better
cunts. When they
yet,
came, I'm more than happy to say when white men came to Australia, they're just queer cunts, mate. They had no fucking control. Just rapes. You know what I mean? It's sad as well, but
But you know
it's
what's
in
you
the
know what's
person as
worse,
well. It's in
Centerling?
the individual. It's in the individual as well, mate. They didn't have they had a fucking choice to come in and be normal, but no, they were just spastic cunts.
But you know what's worse, Centerlink, that you should be teaching your kid, like the treatment of the indigenous population in Australia right now. This isn't a matter of the past and history. There's a lot of fucked up shit going on to the Aborigines and the indigenous populations that persist today, and that's the fucked up shit. We can't go back and change the past, but the fucked up shit that happens to the indigenous people in Canada, the fucked up shit that happens to the indigenous people in America, the Aborigines, all that shit. Like, that's the shit that you should be focusing on now with your kid. Like, teach him the past, but teach him how fucked up that shit is still.
Well, here's the thing too. Before you even go on, right? How about this though? Because this is what happened with me. I was a kid and I had these questions. You discuss this shit with your kids when you get older. Like, you're not going to sit there if a kid asks, how was I born, right? How are babies made? If they're like fucking 6 years old, well, me and my mom, we went to a party and she got whatever, and then we had sex. You ain't gonna tell some 6-year-old no shit like that, and
I've been
you
teaching
know what
my
I'm saying?
I've been teaching my kid about segregation and discrimination since she was about 3 years old. I've been reading books to her. She can tell you who Harriet Tubman is. I start young, man, really young, because that's when they're most receptive. And obviously, illicit, you don't teach it in the nature of its full brutality, but you do teach. Yes, they thought that they were not okay because they were a different color. So it's all about gradual
There's
release.
there's there's how you teach it. There's you can either delay it, or you can dilute it. And as they get older, they can find more and more about it. However way you want to do it, you're the parent. You know what I'm saying? They're the child. I can't say it's a right or wrong way of doing it, but I definitely can say this: it's not something that you would hide from your fucking kid or ignore. Like, that shit needs to be known. I would always say that
Unfortunately,
shit.
the education system throughout America is doing that very thing you're describing right now.
Yep. And everybody's fallen along. They've fallen in line with that shit. They look at the shit. They're like, "Oh, that's too horrible. Oh, we don't want to show that." No, you don't have to teach it at that point in time. Or you can give a fucking cliff for that shit. And then that's actually like, when I was younger, we didn't get the fucking nitty gritty until I was in high school. You know what I'm saying? They kind of
There's a lot
taught
of
like a
pushback against that, against the censoring of schools in the history. There's a lot of
yeah, but
pushback.
a
I just
lot
want
of
to
a
say
lot of
something real
people.
quick. Can I say something?
Yeah.
My son has come home from school. He's in year 7, first year of high school. Obviously, there's Aboriginals at his school. He's come home last week and he said that he doesn't like the way the Aboriginals act and that he can't stand it. All right. Now,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. I haven't talked to him about this yet. I said, Aiden, say no more, and I'll talk to you soon about it. You know what I mean? He only hangs around his whole group of friends. They're all white. You know what I mean? Yeah, this is something I'm going to have to get onto because I grew up with a close friend. My closest friend was an Aboriginal, so I know a fair bit about their lifestyle and all that. I just haven't touched on it. With him, I've got to knock some things on the head and have a good discussion with him. You know what I mean? Because I don't know what's going on at school and the group of friends he's hanging around. This is where it all comes from. This is where it starts now. If I don't do something now, this could snowball. Do you know where I'm going with this?
Centerlink, you said I don't know where it comes from, but the thing is, it could very much come from the parents of his friends that he keeps, who then racism is taught, who then
Oh yeah,
parrot the
absolutely.
same
I just want to
things
say
and
something. Yeah,
influence
let me
him.
finish. It's definitely not coming from this household. It's definitely not coming from me. You
Oh,
know
yeah,
what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah. I mean, I could say. I mean, you could clearly see that. But here's the thing: this is how racism and shit like that starts. Part of the way that racism starts as well, because someone's different, and it's not. It's a shock to you. It's a culture shock. You're like, I don't really like that. You know what I'm saying? You know, um, I don't like the way that maybe they're rowdy, or maybe whatever the case is for that other person that you may not like. You know what I mean? And what needs to be taught with these kids is that the world is fucking different, and you're gonna have to accept that shit. If you don't, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's you don't dislike it. You understand that not everybody is going to be like you, and that's not
It could be as
wrong.
small as somebody of a different color attacks you, and now you hate the whole fucking color.
That
That's how
happens a lot.
stupid it could be.
That happens a lot because what the brain would do is it tries to find shortcuts, and it tries to make things more efficient.
It's developing schema, rules about the
So
world based on experiences.
yeah,
You enter cheat code.
so that's what it tries to do. And no matter, I spoke to an Asian guy, right? I'll wrap this shit up. I mean, I like having these discussions. These discussions are fun to me. But I spoke to an Asian guy that worked at I was working out with him at the gym, and he, dude's like 27, 28 years old. He was adopted by a white family in a very rich neighborhood, And this guy was like, "Oh, if you remove history, all the nasty things in history, if you remove that, then all of the bad stuff would stop." I couldn't believe he thought of that shit. I gave him that same scenario. If you walked in this, if you were in your neighborhood and somebody beat the shit out of you that was black, right? And if that's not something that you're normal or that you're used to, you're going to be like, "Yo, I gotta look out for these fucking people." That's what the brain would try to do. The same thing with fucking white people. If a white person was like, "Ew, look at that nigger," I'll be like, your brain starts to draw lines in places, starts to make conclusions to try to be more efficient, and that happens with every shit to him. And he acted like he didn't know. It was a very awful mentality that you would think that the world is sugar and fucking rainbows and gumdrops, and if you just delete the N word from history, if you delete the bad parts of history that people will forget, I'm like, the reason why these things happened in the first place is because of human nature. You see something that's different, you're going to start comparing it to your life, and because of the narcissistic God complex in all humans, you're going to be like, "Well, my way is better. How dare you empty from me? How could you not see that my way is better?" And that just domino affects a whole bunch of poor decisions instead of understanding that even now, if you go overseas, they look at us fucking crazy. It makes sense to them, their way of life, and it doesn't make sense to us, and vice versa, you know. But you got as a child and as a parent, you gotta explain. You can't erase it. You gotta like again. You don't want to erase the pieces of the history, right? But you want to curate the experience according to the age of your child. You know what I'm saying? Because you want them to focus on something specific so they can move to the next step in life and move to the next step in life and the next step, or whatever the case is. Like, you wouldn't allow your kid to watch an R-rated fucking movie if they're like 7, a slasher flick and shit like that. You just don't have them watch it. You don't just, you know what? I'm just going to remove the whole fucking scenes, all the scenes that's bad, so everybody can watch it. That's the dumbest thing ever. Look at it.
Yo, when you said people look at us crazy overseas, what did you mean by that? Like,
For instance, being transgenders, being, changing your sex. They were like, "What the fuck is going on over there?"
most definitely.
Why would you, like, you can't do that? Or women that are working. They look at that shit like the man is supposed to be the fucking provider.
If you
Why
go to
is she
Saudi, they're
working?
gonna look at you like you're actually mad if you make your wife work. It's crazy.
They're gonna be
Hey,
like, "This pussy
Abdi,
bitch."
are you American or
Yeah, but
Somali?
I lived in Dubai and I lived in Kenya for a bit after I left.
Okay, do you remember the first time have you been to America?
Yeah, I came to America in '07.
Okay, do
I was
you
born.
remember your first experience with a black person in America?
Yeah, I moved to the hood when I came back.
Yeah.
It was a black neighborhood. I swear it
Was
was
it a
different. It was
different
different.
experience than from Africa? Because I'll tell you something.
It's different, yeah, for
I've
sure.
I've lived with black people my whole life from
Yeah.
Africa, growing
I
up
don't like how you said
with
the word
food.
black. Why you had to put the L in it like that?
What the fuck you talking about? Chill.
I live with
I come
black
to
people. Why you had to say it like
fall
that?
back. I come to America.
I'm fucking with
I come to I come to America, and
you.
I just change of shifting in mentality.
On God, on God. You know, when I
Yeah,
came to America,
differently.
bro, I was around like other black people, Africans. So as an African person, I'm like, I come to America, I come to the hood, bro. That's where I moved to, and I'm like, everyone's just like, yo, what's up, nigga? I'm like, okay. Why are y'all calling each other? I wasn't educated at that point, right? I was like, yo, why are they saying to each other, bro? And there's people who are like lighter skinned than me. They're like saying that as well, but I didn't understand, right? So as growing up, I just understood what happened, and I just kind of assimilated, But I was able to go back to the Middle East and come back and forth. So I'm immersed in both cultures, so I understand. So yeah, it's just a learning experience.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything
It's a trip,
wrong
man.
with.
America is a different type of
Most definitely.
world from Africa. Like we don't look at each other barely even fucking that until I came to America. Then it was like, what the
They don't
is
think
going
about
on?
race outside of America. They don't really talk about race like that. Here, it's like the whole thing. Like
Well,
everyone's on edge. It's just an
you get a lot
observation.
of people over here. See, that's the thing. This is what kind of pisses me off, right? About people that are Americans, because we all know that society is all fucked up in all sorts of ways, right? We get that. We totally understand that's how it works here. But we had this in the last 10 years. People really, really, really want to be a victim so bad. They want to be a victim so bad that they are exacerbating what's happening, or what they already known. You know what I mean? This is why we became so fucking pampered and weak. You know, that's just what it is.
Everybody's on edge. Everybody's looking for the next somebody who fucked with me. Everybody's fucking on edge. It's crazy.
Everybody's looking for. Before you go on, since because we're about to close this shit out. Like, yeah. So what you get, right, is people, because it's almost like a fucking dopamine hit to feel like a victim. Because when you're a fucking victim, you're like, somebody cares about me. I got a reaction. You know what I mean? I got a reaction from these people, or whatever the case is. And everybody's looking for the next victim, the next victimhood. You know what I mean? They're looking for the next. I want to be a victim so bad. So you could be like, yo, like I just said before, you're like, yo, I noticed that black people. Why you say it like that? Oh, I'm telling. How could you do that? Like, just anything, so everybody can be like, yo, and they'll clip your fucking shit. They'll clip it and retweet it and post it on. Y'all hear how he said it? He said it with disgust. You hear that shit? It's like, what the fuck are you talking about? It's so fucking crazy over here, yo. This shit,
I'm good.
honestly, is madness over
But
here.
I have one question for you, man. Just one question. So it's gonna be funny, but do you low key kind of feel like, okay, me coming from the Somali community and moving here, I sort of feel like there's some white people that want to be like a minority, if that makes sense. Like, do you feel that way at all, or
I do.
am I
I do.
wrong for that?
No, I do. I believe that. But before I go on, yo, what you gotta say, Century Lake? I didn't want to cut you off.
Yeah, no, that's all good. No, I'll listen now. It's past anyway.
What were you saying? What were you saying again?
He said pass to him.
Oh, pass. Okay. So, all right, beachfront. Okay, cool. I'm just getting my shit ready. So one of the things that I would say, everyone's trying to go for that virtue signal. You know what I mean? So what I've noticed about a lot of white people nowadays is that they want to be the first person to say that I am a horrible person and I man up to that. I am horrible. I completely use my privilege everywhere, every time. Like, there was this comedy show where the guy was like a redneck. He was like, I never dealt with no fucking privilege. We even have fucking sweaters. You know what I mean? Where I was at, like, where's my privilege? And it's all perspective. It's just funny. Like, in the rich areas, yeah, white people have fucking what do you call it? They have privilege. They have white privilege. You know what I'm saying? Also, there's another thing that people don't want to fucking admit to, as black people, that we are recording and retweeting horrible fucking behavior. There was a fucking senator in Portland that was dancing. She was twerking her ass on her head. That's a fucking senator. Twerking her ass. She was upside down doing a handstand and twerking her ass. That is embarrassing to me. You know what else is fucking embarrassing? Like, people jumping over the fucking counters of fast food places and stepping in food and acting like a fucking fool. All that shit's embarrassing. And black people in general need to understand that everybody's watching everything. So when people look at that shit, they're like, what the fuck?
Is the onus on you to tell the white people, hey, we're embarrassed by that behavior too? I don't think I say fuck that. I'm not.
You
The
well
fucking
look if
purist.
you look there's and that's fine. But here's the thing, right? If you are silent and complicit, then you're going to draw that type of attention. You know, you're supposed to, unfortunately, and this sucks. Like, for instance, I know it sucks. It sucks ass that black people are known not to give tips. They're known to not give tips.
Damn,
You know
I
what I'm
didn't know
saying?
that.
That's a stereotype.
For real?
Yep.
What? I've never heard that before.
Well, now you
First time
fucking
hearing
know.
that.
They
I've
don't
never
even,
heard
yo.
that
That's
as
why.
well.
Yeah. Now you know. In America, right? You can go to one of those places, a restaurant, whatever, and they won't treat you
Oh,
properly.
talking about monetary tips. I thought you meant fucking idea tips. My bad.
No, monetary tips. So like you go to a table and you get waited on, right? And they won't really give you that fucking. They won't give you that fucking class because they're like, I'm not going to get anything from these people.
I don't think that would be your skin color really as well. You know what I mean? You just get judged straight away being black. You know,
It's
in
a fucking
America,
American thing.
But that happens. But it
yeah.
happens on both sides. I hope it's on both sides. You could be a fucking.
Do they tip in any other fucking country except for America?
Well, I can't speak to anybody else but my own country. But I will say this: that it's pretty fucking known that they don't. And usually the reason why is because black people are there's a lot of impoverished black people. So there's that. But when I go to a restaurant, I'm okay with my finances. But when I go to a restaurant, they automatically, until I show them that we do fucking tip. You got to understand it. And it's unfortunate that I got to do all these gymnastics to change the reputation.
You know what
You know
that
what I'm
sounds
saying?
to me like? It sounds to me like the white guilt. You know that you were talking about how you
Mm-hmm.
feel guilty about your culture. The white people
No,
feel
no, 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 no,
guilty
no, no,
about the
no, no.
bad
Hold
shit
on.
that
Don't
they did.
let me clear that up.
Not
I don't
culture,
feel
but
guilty. I
the
don't feel
perceived.
guilty about. Hold on,
Yeah.
wait. I don't feel guilty about my culture at all. I feel guilty about the stupid shit that's in there. My culture is great. My culture has the Michael Jacksons, the
Yeah, I
Michael
misspoke.
Jordans.
What
I
I'm
love
talking
my
about,
culture.
is the
Somalia, a good
perceived
example. He's trying to say, you
bullshit.
know how in 2018 at the Grammys, you know how there was Nipsey Hussle and Cardi B. Basically, the white people will put Cardi B up front before they put Nipsey Hussle. You know, on his album, right? They'll put that side of the culture versus like the Nipsey Hussle side of the culture. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, don't
That's
get it
what they
fucked
look
up.
at.
Don't get it fucked up. I love my culture. I don't like this new age
Yeah.
culture that's coming up where you have to be fucking rude. You don't even like your own hair. You don't even like your own fucking skin color. You know what I mean? I don't want to go to the beach. I want to bleach my fucking skin. I want to get a Brazilian butt lift. I want to be fucking overweight or obese because that's what everybody knows me to be. That type of shit. That's new age. I don't like that shit. I
Yeah, it
don't
was a
like that
lack
shit.
of a better word. I didn't mean to use
No,
culture.
no, 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 no.
The trappings.
I had to say it because somebody will listen to this shit and be like, "Oh, this nigga's a coon." I'm a coon because I want black people to fucking be better.
No, I feel you, man.
You have to make these distinctions, just like white people. White people are ashamed of the racist fucking people that's out there. They are absolutely ashamed. You know what I mean? But that doesn't speak for the whole culture either. I lived in a fucking car when I was younger. You know what I mean? And guess who allowed me to live in a car? I was like 16, 17 years old. And I had my mom, she had mental issues, right? So she couldn't take care of the house. Even though her daughters or sisters, or my sisters or whatever, they had houses that they could help me out with, right? They didn't want to do it because they said a black man or black people should stand on their own fucking feet. That's what they said, right? So white people helped me. I've even had situations where I was living out in a car because my mom didn't have a place to stay, and it was before I could turn 18. I hung out with this black family from 1997 to 2007. This is when it happened, around 2007, right? And I was just having a hard fucking time. They only gave me 2 days to stay there, even though they knew me for so long. They just couldn't allow me to stay in the fucking house or off of their own prejudices or stereotypes, I should say. You know, I don't want this black man in the house with my wife because he may do something stupid shit like that. You know what I mean? And I didn't have that issue. Now, don't get it fucked up. I've met a lot of racist fucking white people too. So I'm on a neutral state. Whoever treats me well, I will treat them well. I will return the favor. But I'm not going to sit there and make a
Doesn't
blanket
it seem
statement.
like that's how it should be? Like
That's
we
what
got a
it, bro.
huge fucking problem in the Somalian community. Abdi can speak to this, where we fucking separate ourselves in groups. Every group has their name. You talk shit about each other based on the fucking groups.
Tribes.
Sometimes it's just little nabbing, jibs, but it fucking goes crazy to where they'd kill each other for that shit.
Mm-hmm.
It's stupid. Where you form a government based on the sets of groups. You vote for a person based on the sets of groups. You have divisions within a fucking group of people. It's stupid.
Mm-hmm.
Just like we started
And
it
I hate to
with
say that.
humanity.
I hate to say that, but that's what I was saying earlier. Nobody wants to admit that shit, but it is what it is. Nobody wants to admit how we look like fucking clowns. Nobody wants to fucking admit that. As humans, not black people or white people, just we are fucking stupid. We make all these concessions and we go back and forth. You know what I mean? And say that you can do this, but you can't do that, right? You can't, like for black people, you can't say the N word if you're not black. But I can call you whatever the fuck I want to call you because I don't give a fuck. Black people had it hard, so I can call you all sorts of racial slurs and shit like that, or transphobic slurs, right? But don't call me a nigga. You're not allowed to do that. Like you can't sit there and cry victim because you hurt me so much you don't know how the history is, and then sit down and then sit there and then call somebody else something that's fucked up to them either. And it happens all the fucking time. A black person would sit there, don't call me a nigga, but they'll be like, oh, I can't stand these light skinned ass motherfuckers. You a fucking house nigga and shit like that. It's fucking crazy. Keep that shit consistent. That's all I want. If you're going to be consistent, keep it fucking consistent across the board. It's just like I said before, all races really need to do better, and history at the end of the day shouldn't be erased. And I guess I should bring it home to what we were talking about before. What I feel like this is originally what I wanted to talk about. What I feel like personally with the digital versus the physical shit, right? I don't know how long you guys are going to play these games when you're like 70, 67 years old and your hands have arthritis and shit. Are you really going to be playing these games?
Nope.
That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Like, I don't think you guys are going to be really playing the game. So I guess the fear of digital content, right? I think that's the fear, right? Is I won't own my games, but you're not thinking in the long term.
That's a first world problem as well. Oh, I won't own my games that are $70. You know, it's okay, bro. Relax. Just be in the moment. Enjoy the game. When it happens, it
Yeah,
happens.
like,
You know what I'm saying? Relax.
you know
Stop
what I
worrying
mean?
about like the years from now. Relax.
I don't think that, and plus it helps out the company to keep the games on the fucking storefront as long as they possibly can because it's all about content at this point in time anyway. Sony made a catastrophic error by making a cell processor and making it so fucking difficult because now whatever content that they had before, it's going to be a lot of hard work to bring that shit to the forefront. You know what I mean? That's going to be fucking difficult. That's a difficult situation for them. You know, even Microsoft, which is a $2 trillion company, was like, oh, I can't be making these fucking games like that anymore. There's too many issues with these licensing. So the new games have different rules versus these old games. Like, for instance, there are some developers that don't exist anymore. Like the old Tomb Raider games for PS1, core design don't exist anymore. So where is the money going to go to?
Yeah, they need a
That's
new digital assets or digital rights law written for this year.
It's all fucked up because no one expected games to blow up on the scene or the digital thing or Netflix type shit or any of that shit. All that shit is like, I didn't expect that shit to change. You know what I mean? But here we are. That's what the shit is. If you look at it, right? That's what it is. So it's a growing pain situation. But if you look at this shit holistically, if you download these games and put it on a SDD, right, or SSD, excuse me, right, or any kind of hard drive or whatever the case is, if you put that shit on the fucking on that device, it's the same as actually putting it on a disc. Yes, it has a life expectancy, but so does discs. You know what I'm saying? But if you put that shit as a backup, guess what? They can't terminate that shit. And if you look at the licenses and the dates, it's 2099 or 99999. You know what I'm saying? There is no expiration to it, and it can't be updated if it can't talk to the fucking cloud or whatever the case is. So if you put your games on the fucking hard drive, no one could change the fucking dates of when it expires. You'll be dead before the fucking legal rights can alter something that you stored on a fucking storage device.
That's
Just
perfect
saying.
sense.
Yeah, what's that?
I'm
When you download games off the PlayStation Network and you can transfer them to just say a drive or something like that. Can I take that drive to another PlayStation and install the game on there? Does it work like that?
I haven't tried it. I know you can't. Well, I know if I'll say this right. This is what I did try. When my PS3 died with the yellow light of death, I tried to take the hard drive out and put it into another PS3. That doesn't work because the whole shit is encrypted. But if it's already on the drive, I think it could read it. It may be protected, but I can't. I don't know. I may have to Google that. I don't know.
See, I think you were just touching on it, but I wasn't really listening because I was reading something. Yeah, if they want to go fully digital, you should be able to, download your games onto your system and then transfer it to, like, I think you said, a hard drive or a USB stick, and you should be able to, like, put that away and come back in 5 years and reinstall it, And on any system you buy, you know what I mean? You should be able to reinstall that game and be able to play it.
Like, for instance, I can't get the fucking PT demo anymore. That shit's done. But I have it on my PS3, so I have it on my PS4, so it's always there. You know what I mean? So if people really care about this shit, because what they want, here's what they really low key want, but they don't want to say. I want you to keep updating this game graphically, right? But I still want it because I pay for it. You can't look if you buy something that's like me buying a 1976 fucking Pontiac Grand Am, right? Pontiac doesn't exist anymore, right? But I want some company to keep adding horsepower to it and renovating it every fucking 10 years because I purchased the car back in 1976. That's what they're asking for. If you're gonna buy something, you keep it exactly where it sits. That fucking 96 horsepower, 4,000-pound vehicle. It's not a race car anymore compared to these new cars. If you really want it like that, then you're gonna keep it. That's what it's gonna look like. It's gonna be stuck forever in that device that plays that service. You already like? I don't like. It, to me, it's a form of virtue signaling. All these fucking people.
But the fucked up part is they lose more money printing discs and all of that and distributing it, and then the cut of the fucking to the what do you call it, retailer, and you don't even get a fucking kickback on the digital where they save all that. They don't fucking give you a discount for digital. They don't do any of that.
Well, I mean, okay. No, they don't. That's the biggest. That's where people need to. That's where people need to champ. That they need to fight for that. Why does it cost the same amount of money when I'm buying the shit digitally? And you're not using any materials. You're not even giving me extra shit for it being digital. You know what I'm saying? It's the same fucking game. So if that's the case, it's people fighting for. Oh, I want to keep our game physical because who knows when they're going to take it off the server, and I want to play this game in 2077 on my fucking PlayStation 28. Like, come on, dude.
Yeah, my gripe is with the cost difference not being
That,
there. Like
and that's valid, especially with CenturyLink. That's fucking valid. If you're gonna have something digital, that shit needs to be a fucking. And it used to be like that with PC. PC games used to be like $40 when everything else was 50 and 60. But then they sliding in and be like, y'all paying for it. I clearly see that Grand Theft Auto sold 15 million for $60. And we said, no, you're going to pay $60 over here too. I mean, that's the fight that needs to be fought. That's where it
yeah,
needs to
think
be
about
fought.
it. If you do the math, what does it fall down to? Like 38 to the developer, and the rest to all the other steps in making a digital
For,
disc go to a person. It's
for
it's
third party,
insane.
for third party, yeah.
Even
Yeah. First
they
party, they
don't
don't
take
got
the
to pay
cut
it. They
too.
don't got to. Well, they don't. There is no cut. There's no.
No, not for digital. For disc. For disc, there
Oh,
is a
for
cut.
disc.
Best Buy
Yeah,
takes
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
motherfucking cut. Game Pass, I mean, GameStop. Sorry, everybody takes a fucking cut off your shit. So you lose all of that, and it's worse for third party. So it should be much motherfucking cheaper. Especially if I have to go to your third party fucking website to download it from your shitty fucking servers that take forever, like some of these fuckers have. But a lot of them, stop doing that. Now they go to Epic Games.
Yeah, see, they're making some fucking money anyway. You talk about everyone takes a cut. If they were fucking Sony and that weren't happy with what they were getting, mate, they would have opened up their own stores by now, Yeah, and the digital, man, they got to fucking do something about them prices. You know what I mean? That is ridiculous. Even like $70 digital. What is the price in America? It's $70, isn't it?
I think it's like 74, 75 with the taxes and everything included. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I mean, but
if you're buying a game, you can go to store and pay that, download it for that, mate. It should be $60 for digital. That's where the fight should be. That's where the fight should start. You know.
Yeah,
nobody,
you know
but
what I
everybody
noticed
wants,
too?
to sit there and say game preservation and stupid ass fucking arguments. That's just the dumbest fucking shit.
Yo, how come no one ever says when they buy like a digital song on like Apple Music or something, oh, it's digital. Are they gonna shut down the servers and I'm not gonna ever use it again? Like no one does that. It's only for games
You
and
know,
songs.
Apple can do whatever they want to do.
But let's a little bit of a shift. Do you think physical hardware will go away anytime soon? Like let's say 10 years.
I don't believe it will. There's here, like for an example, here in Australia, we don't even have PS Now, or that doesn't exist anymore. But you know what I mean. In Australia, for the PlayStation 5, we have no streaming. We can't stream games. We can only download them. You know what I mean? And Australia's internet is just fucking shit house.
Yo, why
You
is
know
that
what I
in
mean?
Australia though? Why is the internet so bad?
It
It's
costs
just
it
a
costs
long
it costs
story.
a
It's just shit. Yeah.
it costs money to lay them fucking shits around. It's just money.
The network cables underground and stuff.
Yeah, look, we just like go back 5 years ago. All we had was or 5 years ago, all we had was not dial up. We had DSL. It was all copper to the house. Okay, and recently in the last 5 years, the government has started to lay fiber optic cable to the houses. You know, there was a vote to get the prime minister, and one was saying, all right, we'll lay the house. And the other side was saying no. We'll lay cable to the corners of houses. You know what I mean? And from the corner, so you got copper to the corner, and then it's all fiber optic. But now, anyway, they're starting to lay fiber all the way to the house. It's just been a fuck up from both governments, from both sides, arguing over it. So yeah, we just got fucking shafted.
That's a poor. You should never bring the fiber to the house because there's no fucking device that can reach. So what happens is, right, when they bring the fiber to the house, it has to get to electric, which they're going to need a converter box using your electricity to count the fucking blinks of light and make that into an electrical signal. So that's using your own fucking electricity. And plus, like you can't plug a fucking fiber optic cable inside your fucking PlayStation and have that shit. Like it's going to be converted anyway. I don't think they should ever lay it to the fucking house, to the corner, and keep the shit moving.
Yeah, but from the house to the corner is all old copper wiring. You know, you can only go so far. But anyway,
Well,
so yeah, they're just
you'd be surprised at what you can do. Like I said before, it's a lot that they can do. I mean, I'm in that industry as it is, and I have to deal with that shit every day. And I have to fucking check all these customers that be like, oh, go here. Because they bring it to my house. I'm like, you stupid fucker. They taking your electricity and convert it for the same fucking fee, you dickhead.
Can you explain it to me? Can you? Because I'm on these subs that like, so you get copper from the house to the node to the corner, and my max speed on that is only 100 100 megabits per second. But if I get
Lordy.
cable to my house, get up to like 1,000. You know, up to gigs and then whatever you have over there.
Like for me,
Yeah.
this is actually this is what do you call it? Copper, right? I get 1,200 megabits per second. So that's why I said it's not really that necessary, and it's going to get faster too. So
Even fiber is going to get faster, though. You got to think. I think there's something already being done in Japan or something. I read that they're going to have like 1,000 times as faster than fiber.
and they're looking at 10 gigabits at this point now, instead of the one right now, and that's on copper.
But you know, it's like, you know, when that new PS Plus stuff launched in Australia like 2 weeks ago, or whenever it was, a week and a half ago, I went to download a game, or my son did, and because everyone was downloading, I was downloading at 1 megabyte a second, and I usually get 10. You know what I mean? So a game took like fucking 5 hours. So that's what I mean. So just say, all right, they go, all right, let's all go digital. The internet would crash. You know what I mean? What about through the coronavirus? Through the coronavirus, Google, fucking YouTube, Netflix, all the major fucking video streaming providers, they all had to cut their bit rate. You know what I mean? So that's another thing.
They did that shit on the low too. They did that shit quietly.
Yeah, they did. They weren't even going to tell anyone. You know what I mean? So the world going completely digital, like PlayStation and all that, no, it's never going to happen. And as for as the hardware, no, the hardware is here to stay, guys. But that's going nowhere because everyone loves that. Like the hardware, it's the only way you get the graphics. You know what I mean? Like the raw power. You can't do that through streaming.
Right.
Actually, so, you guys know about rollback net code, right?
Yeah, but that's predictive stuff. So
I think predictive things will help make the latency for online over stream even less noticeable. You already have latency whenever you're playing online. It's just not insane whenever the servers are close to you. But if you ever played a game with Australians in an Australian fucking server, I'm telling you, it's like a second before your inputs even take place. I think rollback will probably help a lot of that, especially with increased speeds of the internet.
It helps now, but like the fighting game, like bandwidth isn't that crazy anyway. You know what I mean? I looked at that shit anyway, and it always does some sort of predictive stuff. Like even now in the day. So let's see. I'm gonna wrap this shit up, guys.
Yeah, as I say, thanks for the chat. I've got to go fucking go whatever. What am I doing? I'm clothes shopping for my son. So yeah, thanks for the chat.
No problem. Thank you. Anytime. I love when you coming through.
Which one are we taking?
Yeah, cheers, guys. Take care. See you guys.
Take care, guys. Yeah, I'm about to get out of here. Thank you guys for
digital or disc? Which one?
Digital.
Okay, absolutely. Digital. Okay, we got to. Okay, go ahead. Thanks for having us.
Yo, not a problem. I'm glad that you guys enjoyed the show. Again, you guys, I was like, I'm gonna make this show quick. It's even longer. I was gonna say I want to make the longest show ever, and that shit gonna be like 30 minutes, yo. That's what I'm gonna do from now on. Because I don't know what to say anymore.